Yo, 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 yo. Okay, so we've got K Dots in the house with the Nerd Man, and we're going to continue our part two of our reaction. Um, okay, we're continuing part two of our reaction to uh, Sean Chandler talks about. I guess that's what it's called. Sean Chandler talks about, and his reaction to or his list of the top listing MCU and DC movies. And one thing that surprises me is that he didn't throw the X-Men actually, and he should have thought, "Hey, sup, man? K Dots will be joining soon." He didn't actually mention the X-Men and the Sonyverse in this. I would have. It kind of surprises me that no one does lists about that. They always do it about the MCU and the DCEU, because I mean, the X-Men universe was a itself a universe, right? I mean, yeah, it usually just starred the X-Men, one film after the other, but it was an actual universe. They had like a crossover between two generations of X-Men movies. They did a lot of stuff. I mean, they had a yeah, kind of time travel movie before the MCU ever did. Where there was old people going, older actors and characters going with newer ones. So it always surprises me that people always compare the DCEU to the MCU. Um, and not anything else like Sonyverse or because it's one of those things, I guess, because we love hating on DC so much that we want to only compare it to something that is obviously better. Where I don't think it is obviously better. I just think it's there's more of the MCU than the DCU. That's the only thing I think. I don't think it's necessarily better in terms of the actual film for film quality. And especially when you start adding in, other stuff that DC's done, like, the Dark Knight trilogy or the Batman or Joker or Watchmen. I just really don't think the MCU is so leaps and bounds. And I think even if you say the MCU is leaps and bounds ahead of sorry, you say it's better than DC. I don't think it's leaps and bounds ahead of DC. I think DC has produced a lot of movies that are actually quite a bit better than all MCU movies, quite frankly. But say you say okay, because of the coherent universe and whatnot, that the MCU is better, right? Even if you say that, DC is still clearly better than Sony and the X-Men universe, right? So it's like it's just funny to me that it's always DC and MCU, like they're the only ones who've made comic book movies in the last 15 years. Like Sony's done it. Sony's got a universe, sort of. Why didn't you throw Sonyverse into that shit? Why is it just MCU versus D? Let's, for the last time, do all DC and MCU movies. Why not throw Sonyverse into that? Surely that would make sense as well. Why not throw Fox X-Men into that? Uh, but this is the propaganda we have to deal with. It's like DC is the worst. It's the worst. It makes the worst films of any like comic book thing ever. It's like, yeah, right. Uh, but you could say my bias is showing, but it's not even that, bro. I accept good MCU movies. I accept good Sony movies. I like all good comic book movies. It's just I feel like
It's fine.
it's interesting how a fan base kind of uh, you know um, it's interesting how our fan base kind of looks upon uh, I'll talk to with with KDOTS when he comes on about this, because I think it's an interesting point of conversation. I just think it's interesting of how we've decided to compare these two franchises. I really do, and I feel like DC has got punished for the most part for all of the MCU's sins, and that MCU has kind of ridden and taken advantage of all of DC's innovations. And it's kind of sad to see that, in a way. But let us get back to the list. So this is Sean Chandler. I'm just going to call him a nice guy, but a very, very typical MCU fan. So no hate against him. It's just I'm reacting to his video. And as you could see, we stopped last at number 39.
Big drop in quality from the first film. Next, Shazam! Fury of the Gods, and this just feels like
where he claims
another
that Shazam! Fury of the Gods is the 39th worst movie out of all of these movies. Now, I wanna just kind of make a caveat on this. This guy, yeah, clearly, as I said before, has a interest in, um, you know, he has an interest in like viewers agreeing with him. He doesn't want to go against the grain. I've seen that in this guy's channel, and I see that amongst a lot of YouTubers that they don't want to go against the grain. They don't want to be thought to be ridiculous. So they just say things because they think that the broad amount of people will agree with them. But I was going back, and let me see if I can find this guy, because I'm pretty sure he gave Shazam! Fury of the Gods a positive review. And I'm not going to stick on this for too long, but I'm just interested in his review of this movie because I pretty much remember it being fairly positive. But it might be my memories mistaking me. Maybe he gave it a bad review. I'm not sure. But let's find out quickly. All right. Wish K Dots was here, but we'll see. All right. So I'm going to play you a little bit of his review of Shazam! Fury of the Gods. Um, all right. What on earth have I been? All right. Present. Share screen. Ready? So Shazam! Fury of the Gods review. This can be, I'll just play a little bit of this while we're waiting for K Dots. My internet is hella slow these days, man. I need to get new internet. Let's get to the meat of it. cameo
It
fiasco.
maintains that youthful energy of the original film while adding even bigger blockbuster action sequences, and the cast is charming as ever. It just makes for a highly watchable film. It's very easy to digest this film and have a good time. Leading it is, of course, Zachary Levi, who's just so good at playing this man-child. On the one hand, he looks like this big superhero guy, but he has the energy of a teenager.
I just threw a truck at a dragon. I love my life.
And it just fits perfectly with what the movie is supposed to be doing. But everyone else is able to keep right up with him and follow the humor, the antics. And so, especially like Adam Brody is a great addition to the mix as this adult version of Freddy, and they even kind of look just enough that you're like, yeah, I totally buy into that. And then on the other side to it, they add in some top-notch actresses to play our team of villain sisters in the film that contrast with the youthful energy of our heroes really nicely, because they play it totally straight and they're being menacing with these heroes that are quite goofy. It's fun to watch, and everyone is just doing a great job with the material.
You understand I'm a pediatrician, right?
Another positive here is the movie really dives into the lore and build.
So let's see final thoughts on this.
In the end, this is a fun but familiar superhero movie. It trades some of the charm of the first film in order to have bigger set pieces and kind of a more expanded mythology. How much you enjoy this film depends on how burnt out you are on superhero movies. If you just loved Shazam and you liked Black Adam and you want more time in that world, you will have a good time at the movies with this.
So can we go into that again? So basically the guy, again, as I said, even in his review, he's trying to politic, basically. He's trying to play both sides. He's trying to play the side that basically likes the movie. He's trying to play the side that don't like the movie. Clearly, he likes the movie, right? And he goes, oh, it trades the charm of the first movie to have bigger action and to explore the mythology of Shazam. So how's exploring the mythology of Shazam generic, and how does that fit into, surely exploring the mythology of Shazam, if you've ever picked up or read a comic, is the right thing to do in terms of these films. But anyway, that's his Shazam Fury of the Gods thing. As you can see, this is my problem, and it's not just with him on YouTube, it's with a lot of people on YouTube. It's trying to play the politics, play both sides. And that's how they come to these ideas, or they come to these thoughts about their specific reviews on films. They want to see what the general audience, what people, what the general vibe is on YouTube, because YouTube isn't actually really the general audience. It's people who watch YouTube. They want to capture the general vibe, see what everyone's thinking, and make sure they tailor their videos towards those people. Keep those likes up. That's the name of the game. And that's why I don't get any likes. If somebody don't get any likes, that means essentially they're real. They're telling you the truth. So I don't get millions of viewers, because I just shoot from the hip and say it as it is. I don't try and play the politics. All right. So let's go back to his list. Every DCU movie ever. But yeah, he gives it a positive review. How can you give it a positive review and it be 13.9 out of every? You're trying to tell me there's no more bad movies in the DCU and MCU. No more bad movies. He's not going to say another movie past this is bad. So every movie past 39 has to be good. In that case, he has to give them a good review for his list to make any sense.
generic comic book movie blockbuster that checks all the right boxes. You have action, you have jokes, you have lore, and you have superheroes in capes, punching villains in capes. It has everything it's supposed to have except a unique personality.
So wait a second. It has lore, except it doesn't have a unique personality. What? See, this is. I'm not even going to go into it. It's so stupid. It has lore. So if it has lore, it has Shazam specific lore. It doesn't have Blue Beetle's lore. It doesn't have Batman's lore. It doesn't have somebody else's lore. So in that sense, it does have a unique personality. I don't. It's just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
I'm here, Nerman.
Um,
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I was just talking about basically we're continuing on reacting to this list, and then after, I hope if I have time, if I can get through this all, I wanted to react to another video he did, right? But right now I was just talking about he did a review on Shazam, Fury of Gods, right? And this review basically it says it tries to play the politics, right? It tries to be like, oh, I want to be on the side of, like make sure that I'm not offending anybody, no matter what their opinion is on the movie. And you're going to see this from YouTubers in general, that they always are trying to make sure they're keeping up those likes, they're keeping up those subscribers. They don't want to tell what they actually feel about a thing. They want to make sure that they tailor what they say to fit as many, viewpoints so that people will subscribe. And this is the issue I have with a lot of these channels and a lot of these people who are talking about MCU and DCU movies, because they have an agenda, right? Or not even an agenda. They have a viewpoint where they're trying to ensure the maximum to maximize their viewership on films, basically, or sorry, on their viewership on their reviews or on their on their subscriber base, as opposed to actually telling the opinion, shooting straight from the hip and telling exactly what they feel about something. Do you ever get that vibe, or do you? Okay, that's your. I think you're muted.
Thought I was unmuted.
You always do that, brother. You always do
I
that.
swear I thought I was unmuted. I swear, nerd man. I swear I was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but
Could
do you ever get that? Yeah, no, I was saying, do you ever get that vibe from before I stop playing the video again? You ever get that vibe from YouTubers that they're just saying what they need to say to essentially? I'll even throw you the review of his so you can catch up. His review on Shazam: Fury of the Gods. But in general, you'll see like he just, he shifts from point of view to point of view essentially.
So he's kind of like mixed on his review of this movie, essentially.
He's
Like,
not mixed. He says a bunch of really good things about it. That I don't see how you can go back and then go, oh, it was terrible. He says like it's a bunch of fun and blah blah blah. But then he says right at the end, but it's like every superhero movie you've ever seen. How can a superhero, like right at the end of the thing, it's like, oh, it depends on how burnt out you are by superhero movies. If you're not burnt out by superhero movies, then you'll enjoy this. But if you are, then you'll probably not like it, because it doesn't do anything new.
but if someone like superhero movies, they're not going to be burnt out of superhero movies. They're going to be burnt out of probably like the same type of stuff, because watching Deadpool 3 comes out, are people going to say they burnt out when they see all their favorite X-Men characters come back? Hell no.
Yeah.
It's not. People aren't burnt out of these superhero stuff. They be lying when they say that shit. They just
want to be fashionable. They want to be trendy because that's what's in at the moment. That's what's going to get them views. Or maybe
to say that variety of shit. Like, I can understand variety. Like, for example, I like anime. I like isekai anime, but I ain't going to lie when I say this specific part of anime is a little bit too much of the same stuff. I need something a little bit different in this specific subgenre of this anime.
Right.
But I still
Right.
like the genre. Like, I'm still not going to be tired of it. I'm just tired of not a variety. So yeah, man,
I
these
mean, it's
MCU,
interesting to me.
they
It's
be capping.
interesting. But you should possibly share that video that he did. Can you put it on? Share it. I'm not going to play it now, but I want to show you it later on. But anyway, let's move on.
What are you talking about?
I just threw a truck at a
The one I shared in private.
Okay, let me get it up for you.
I'm going to play now. Okay.
dragon. I love my life.
The first Shazam had it being big as a superhero movie, but this movie ages up Billy just enough that it loses that, and so it doesn't have anything distinct about it. It's fine, it's totally watchable, but it's not memorable.
You are very menacing. I just want you to know that.
38, Spider-Man Far From Home. Now, I know a lot of you love this movie and you see this placement and you want to just yell at me.
This is pretty much the worst video ever made.
But the thing is, I just don't think the plot adds up, and that does take me out of the movie repeatedly. The idea that Tony Stark would leave his military-grade glasses without instructions to a high schooler who's been dead for 5 years doesn't make any sense.
No, don't like that.
Mysterio's plot to become the top world superhero doesn't make any sense. There's a scene in the movie where a grown woman goes to a high school boy and says, "Take off your clothes in front of me."
Take off your clothes.
Okay.
That doesn't make any sense. I love these characters. Scenes are fun. The Mysterio effect stuff, great sequence, but the plot does not make sense. 37, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. For a long time, I had this movie very low on my MCU rankings. And I've slowly...
That's the first time. That's the first time he said something on point so far. Yeah, Spider-Man Far From Home plot is garbage. It's the same shit as Homecoming. Peter Parker going through the same exact thing. What does it mean to be Spider-Man? Yeah.
It's absolutely on point. You're absolutely right. It's absolutely on point. But why isn't that movie generic? Why isn't that movie just paint by numbers comic book movie made just I don't understand. Like, what is the charm?
I think it's
the extra
honestly
charm he sees in that movie than some of the movies that he's mentioned already. I really don't get it.
Honestly, Nerdman, it's just because Spider-Man. If this was like, let's say this same plot with, I don't know, it's another kid hero. Let's say Shazam, right? Billy Batson. Well, no, you can't really do it, Billy.
You can't do it.
Static Shock. Let's say same exact plot, Static Shock. He's a kid hero. Just because it's Spider-Man, Spider-Man can get away with being given a mediocre movie, even if it's mediocre.
Right.
Right, because even Batman can get away with it. You know, he's so fucking.
And you know why that is? Do you know why that is? Because these people aren't comic book fans; they're movie fans, and they've got because we're comic book fans, we've got an actual attachment to these characters, and we know what certain scenes mean. Like we know, not to you because Shazam's fresh on my mind, but when you see the doors like to these mysterious lands and stuff like that, and the guy comes out of the door in the Rock of Eternity, we know actually what that means. We know what that's referencing, right? These cats don't know what any of that is, right? So to that extent, I can see where they're coming from. But when it comes to Spider-Man, right, they've got all the lore of the movies to go off to make them from the jump, care about the character, right? So they already have some investment in the character even before the film rolls. So you're absolutely right. and that's the problem. That's why certain characters just get a pass. You
Yeah.
know, whereas
which sucks, but it's the nature of like being that big, like that. That's why I said even DC with their universe, which could happen at some point. They need to get to the point where like people turn such a blind eye to their shit that they kind of let bullshit slide. But then again, you get the MCU problem where people let it slide for so long, and they're finally noticed the cracks in it, and now they're like, "Oh, MCU got to do something different." But it's the same shit you've been eating up for so many years. So why you want
but
them to change?
this is my issue with um people talking about the downfall of DC, because the downfall of DC happened way before even a single frame of their movies was shot. The downfall of DC happened when DC went full on, put all their chips on Batman and Superman, and made
Yeah.
all the rest of their characters just like in the background. And then they realized when the Avengers dropped, hey, wait a second, people love these characters. Let's try something with all of them. But it was too late because they hadn't established a base like they had for Batman, with the animation, with the games, and then secondly Superman with his stuff. They hadn't done that with the rest of their characters. So they had to get people invested just off the movie itself. People weren't excited, about seeing certain characters appear, right? Like if you imagine like there would have been an animated Shazam um series or an animated Wonder Woman series, right? And then you drop, oh, the next villain is going to be Cheetah, or the next villain is going to be, in the next movie, like you can tease that the next villain's going to be Mr. Mind. That would have dropped so much harder because you would have been like, no way they're going to put Mr. Mind in a movie, right?
Right.
That's how I felt because I'd read the comics. I'm like, no way they're going to make a little caterpillar who's like actually a pretty fucking cool villain. No way they're gonna make him the villain of the next movie, and that excited me, right? But with this, with the way they did it, obviously there is no investment. People are just looking at that caterpillar thinking, "What the fuck is that?" You know what I'm saying? So this is the problem with DC. It's that they did not believe in their characters until way too late. They should have
Right.
been putting them in animation. They should have been putting them in games because those
They they,
characters,
they waited until seeing, oh,
yeah,
Marvel proved that you can get put in other characters, but Marvel had an excuse. They didn't have shit. They have fucking
right,
Iron Man to start their universe with. DC didn't
right,
have that excuse. That's why I can't give DC any leeway for their start, because it's like y'all had no excuse. You had your big players, you had your heavy hitters. You could have started off the universe with fucking Wonder Woman. I wouldn't have cared. I think that would have been a good start, since she's the oldest member. Depending on what canon you believe in, but still, Marvel worked with fucking breadcrumbs to make their bullshit. It's like DC, y'all
yeah,
don't got that. But you're right. They focus on Batman and Superman too much at one point. I mean, Batman and Superman have the most animated movies compared to like
yeah,
the other
yeah,
DC characters. I like
yeah.
those
In the
movies.
in the
The
90s, they could have kicked off with like they had the Batman, they had a good Superman series, they could have kicked off with a Wonder Woman series, they could have done a Flash series. They could have done all of these characters, and then you would have grown up with them, waiting to see them in live action. You know what I'm saying? There would have been so many people just being like, oh, even till this day, people are like, oh, yeah, I really want to see a Static Shock movie. Why do they say that? Because of that animated series.
mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
True.
All right.
True that.
And people even had investment in Blue Beetle, because like probably a little bit more than some of the other characters, some of the bigger characters, because of Young Justice. All right, let me continue this.
But
They
Blue Beetle
started
was
to
a
come
fire movie,
around to
right?
it over the last two.
Sorry, go on.
I say, Blue Beetle was a fire movie though.
Uh, I liked it, but it was
You damn
it
MCU
was a
fan.
little bit generic.
Years, partially because of the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special and Guardians 3 helping smooth out some of my issues with this film, but also when you see utterly soulless MCU films that just feel like they were cranked out of a factory, this movie feels like a film with a soul created by a storyteller with a vision for these characters that he was trying to communicate. Now, I still have issues with the structure of the film, the tone of the film. It has too much of a mean streak.
I am hideous?
You are horrifying to look at, yes.
So I'm still not crazy about it, but I enjoy it significantly more now than I did just a few years back. 36, The Incredible Hulk, and I
See, this is where I'm just laughing. So the Incredible Hulk is better than all right. So let me just see what people are saying. In Marvel 90s bankruptcy.
I mean, the Incredible Hulk
mistake,
is okay.
I didn't say it's not okay, but it ain't as good as Shazam 2. It ain't as good as the Suicide Squad 1. It's not
Oh
as
yeah,
good
I
as
agree.
a number of different movies. Marvel 90s bankruptcy mistakes selling their A-list characters' rights to Sony, Fox, and Universal. Spider-Man, Wolverine, Hulk, Fantastic Four, and X-Men. DC always had their A-listers waited too late. Should have made George Miller's cancelled Justice League more. Yeah, absolutely, I agree. They should have made that. That movie actually sounded pretty decent. Incredible Hulk equals mid as fuck. Absolutely, absolutely true. I don't know why this is like 36. I mean, there's MCU movies that are better than this. I think Iron Man 2, for instance, is better than this. I can't remember his list now. I'm going to see if I can try and make out the list. But there's
I mean,
a
from what
number
I
of movies that are better than
remember,
this.
I remember you had Captain Marvel 2 below this. Wait a minute, did you say Captain Marvel 1 yet?
I don't think so.
Holy fuck. Fuck this listener, man. Fuck this list. So he got the Marvels that damn low, but not Captain Marvel 1. It ain't even better than
Oh, wait.
Incredible Hulk. He didn't say
Wait,
keep his
Eternals is 44. Sorry, Eternals is 44. And then Captain Marvel 2 is
He didn't say Captain Marvel
lower
1
as
yet.
well.
Oh fuck.
All right. So let's continue. You want to say something about the Incredible, or we'll listen and then say something, yeah?
I mean, it's a okay movie. It's not.
would say this is one of the most overhated films.
Sorry, go on.
No, I was saying this okay movie. I think the 2003 Hulk movie is better. Yeah, I said it, guys. 2003.
I think they both, if they were mixed together, maybe you'd get
Yeah, you have
something.
a
But like,
perfect Hulk movie.
yeah, but the Hulk dogs and all of that crap was not. I wasn't feeling it. I just felt that scene where he was running away from the army. That was the best bit.
In the MCU, a lot of people have it at the bottom of their ranking, and I've never really understood that. Maybe it's because I watched a lot of the Bill Bixby, Lou Ferrigno Hulk show growing up. And maybe it's simply because this one has a different vibe to it. It's the one that was distributed by Universal and has just a different feel to it. But I think it has cool Hulk action to it. I like Edward Norton in the role. And so the movie overall works for me. It's not great. It's not super high on my list, but I don't think it deserves a lot of the hate it gets. 35, Black Adam. Now, I know a lot of people like to dunk on this film, but I enjoyed it for the most part. It's definitely fairly generic, with once again a city being threatened and CGI characters flying through a city, fighting each other, sky beams, all that stuff we've seen before. And it definitely feels like a comic book movie that would have come out like 15 years ago, probably because they'd been developing the script with The Rock in mind for 15 years. Here I am! But I still had fun with it. I like the nature of the Black Adam being more of an anti-hero and the Justice Society coming in. It was fun. Next.
So, what do you make of that? Never liked that Hulk. Never got another MCU film, and I
Oh,
wish
that's my
Edward
bad.
Norton stayed. Yeah, I absolutely agree. Edward Norton was far superior to this next guy. Um, really was. I really wished he was in Avengers 1. I would have loved to see him go up against Tony Stark, like because Edward Norton would have had that kind of gravitas to stand up to
Tony.
like Robert Downey Jr. as an actor, and that would have sparkled. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to what's the actor's name? Mark Ruffalo. Mark Ruffalo is
Yeah,
a good actor, but
they don't have that. They
he's
don't have that.
side-ish, bro.
Yeah, they don't have that. Not even in Avengers 2 and it was making Ultron. They didn't even have like a dynamic with each other that really you felt some type of way about. But I think that's because RDJ, even though he is playing Iron Man, he's just the impressive actor on screen when it comes to his presence. Like Mark Ruffalo never done any outstanding performance in the MCU that I can remember ever.
No,
Aside from
but Mark Ruffalo is he's a really good actor, but he's a side dish actor. He's not got that thing like Edward Norton has, like that RDJ has, and that's the problem. Even say the guy who plays Captain America, he has that thing. Like it's just someone you want to watch on screen. Whereas Mark Ruffalo is like, it's nice when he's in a side character, whatever. He plays his role, he's really good. But he's never been the thing I go and watch a movie for. That's the problem. I'd rather see Netflix styled Guillermo del Toro Hulk solo action. Yeah, true. What will I say about like like what he said about the Black Adam again?
Look, if real quick, if people want to go see a good Guillermo del Toro comic book movie, you either can go to Blade 2 or Hellboy 2. But both of them
was
are good.
Blade 2 Guillermo del Toro? Really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that. I might watch it again now. Edward Norton Hulk would have never gone to space for campy BS. Yeah. Mark Ruffalo had 10 great scenes in Avengers 1 talking about
Oh yeah,
Bruce's suicide
that
events
scene
again.
with
One
Black Widow.
great scene. Yeah, one great scene.
Wait,
Yeah,
that
it
scene
was
with Black
good.
Widow or the scene when he was on a helicarrier talking about I put the gun in my head. And
Yeah.
Those
Yeah,
two
that
was
was
good.
good.
That was it.
Yeah, but apart from that, it was just the Hulk. When he hulked out, that Hulk was the best Hulk that we've had. Like, i.e., the actual Hulk, not Mark Ruffalo. the actual Hulk and what he was doing in that movie was sick.
The real Savage Hulk that we've been needing.
Yeah.
Well, the 03 Hulk was a better Savage Hulk, but I do agree. For a modern day Hulk, Avengers 1 Hulk would have been perfect.
Yeah. All right. So I mean, I don't with Black Adam, I really did enjoy the movie. I'm just like him. I agree with him on that. I enjoyed the movie, but I saw the problems with it much more than I did some of the other recent DC movies. But yeah, I definitely see the problems with that movie.
The Rock just aimed for like a just basic action, not basic action, well, just a simple action movie that fits what The Rock can do. But as an action movie, it was really good though. Like if you look at it as an action movie, it's dope. In my honest opinion.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I thought especially those Justice Society members. I even like the Atom Smasher guy, which I thought I'd hate him, and I actually quite liked him. I thought for those three characters, Aldous Huxley as Hawkman, the dude, and I've never liked Hawkman either. I've never understood that character. And in that movie, I was like, actually, I quite like Hawkman. I can vibe with this
Well,
version of Hawkman. You know what I'm saying?
Hawkman has a confusing ass origin, and DC never wants to like pick one. Like you're gonna do the rebirth shit, or he's an alien from Vanguard.
Yeah, it's all messed up. Exactly. That's what's confusing about the character. but this one was good. I mean, they didn't really go into his origins so much, but it was
Yeah,
enough that
it seemed like they just did a mix of both, and just but you can clearly tell he had like that Thanagarian steel and stuff. So you'd assume like, okay, he's an alien, but his wings wasn't actually real; they was just mechanical. It was Thanagarian steel.
Yeah, Black Adam equals mid enjoyable. It's literally trying to be a JSA and Black Adam solo origin story movie. LOL. Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly.
It was to me. It felt more of Black Adam featuring JSA. It wasn't like Birds of Prey featuring Harley Quinn, but Harley Quinn is the main character, even though it's a Birds of Prey movie.
Yeah, I felt like it was more of a Black Adam origin, but like, yeah, they were the kind of heroes in the story. But I wish he had just been a villain by the end of it. That was my only thing. If he was a villain by the end of it, the movie would have been completely tight. It could have actually just been Black Adam versus the JSA in the end. And they decide, look, we need somebody, we need someone on his power level to defeat him, because he's just like he's super powerful, like maybe Dr. Fate comes closest to beating him, but like he realizes, yeah, you need to, and then you just set up the Shazam versus Black Adam,
Right. Or yeah, I mean, I wish they could have. I don't know. I wish Rock could have just been more willing to play along with actually connecting to Shazam, but that guy, damn you, Rock, damn you.
Yeah,
you better be in an A24 movie, or else I'm done with him.
Yeah, it's our A24 resident A24 guy with his A24 movie poster as his avatar.
Yeah, you see though, I recently called one of their films bad looking, so they took some money away from my bank account, so I need to simp for them again.
Yeah. Better pitch for Hawkman character equals superhero Conan in Egypt. Yeah, it could be.
Is that J-Man?
No, I don't think so. Feels like Black Adam tried to be a JSA Black Rain storyline. Yeah, I haven't read that, and I wish I had. I haven't read much JSA, unfortunately.
Thor, one of the Phase 1 MCU films where you can feel them trying to figure out how do you...
That's because I'm more of a Justice League guy. Just to be clear, I just haven't read like that much JSA.
You have a shared universe where you have the cosmic as well as the earthly, and make them feel believable, like they exist in the same space. And there's some growing pains here, but a lot of great stuff came out of this movie. I love the way that it blended the Asgardian Shakespearean grandeur with kind of the fish out of water humor. The casting here is great, where they're bringing in both legacy actors as well as in newcomers like Hemsworth and Hiddleston. But the story is structured in an odd way where the hero and villain plots feel very detached from each other until the final showdown. And so it lacks kind of urgency and forward momentum on a plot level.
I like it.
I know, it's great, right?
Another!
In other words, AKA, let me translate that into normal speech. It's trash. Okay.
Yeah. This is nostalgia at its finest. The other films behind this he called generic, soulless. Like, this has the same exact issues, all right? And
exactly.
If this was released today, they would criticize.
Wait, he put this over Guardians 2, right? And I don't like Guardians. Like, Guardians 2 is better. I don't dislike Thor 1.
Is better than this.
I think Thor 1 is so much. Thor 1's the only good Thor movie to me. But the fact that Guardians 2 is below this, it just bothers me. I'm not gonna lie.
It boggles my mind. Cole, what were you gonna say?
Well, yeah, I told you it's nostalgia. All right, people called this super bland, all right, and they criticized a lot of the acting outside of Hemsworth, like Portman's acting back then, all right, but
Yeah,
because this
exactly.
was released when they were kids and now they're looking back on the whole universe and everything, it's nostalgia for them, so they think it's better than others, even though if it was released today, they would like criticize it as much as like Ant-Man and the Wasp and others.
No, Cole. This
It's
what they did. This what they did.
absolutely, completely generic. It's almost as bland. To me, at the time, I remember thinking this is almost as bland as the Incredible Hulk.
Yes, and that ending was
If
shit with
not
Loki.
more. If not more bland. The only saving grace of this movie was Loki, basically.
Yeah, so that ending with him was kind of bad. It was like so lame.
But see, this is what they did. This is what they did, and I noticed it with they did this with Avengers 2, and they did this after Loki season 2 came out. I seen some people saying, "Man, Loki season 2 makes me appreciate those Thor movies so much." You know, now that this all connected and you see Loki's progression, I'm like, that doesn't mean shit. It's still trash. Just because it connects doesn't change the fact that the movie's still trash.
Right.
Avengers 2 is still trash. Just because it connects to WandaVision doesn't make it better. It's still trash.
And you even saying this is a good movie because, you know, at least it's better than the rest of them. That's the only merit it has. That it's
I think it's
the
only
rest of the Thor
movies.
And let me be clear on something. This whole thing of it made it believable that the Asgardians can be with the, you know, and the real world can blend, and it blended it so well. No, it didn't. It made the Asgardians like saying like, oh, magic is science, but just science that humans can't understand. Shut the fuck up with that bullshit right there. How does that make any sense? What kind of science? What kind of science allows a god to speak to a hammer and tell and say only when you're worthy can you pick up this hammer? How's that science? What universe could that be fucking science, bro?
Artificial intelligence
it's
hammer.
So stupid, dude.
Nerman, artificial intelligence hammer.
And let's just be clear on the garbage here. The first 30 minutes of the movie are okay. So it's still a little bit generic, you know, like whatever with him fighting the frost giants and all of that. It could have been done better, but it was okay. But as soon as he gets to Earth and that fish out of water story happens, it turns into the biggest load of, like just
people criticized
Natalie
it so
Portman.
much back then, called it boring, but now they're like, hey, it was pretty good. It's like, what?
It's only because that Loki do shit, bro. That's the only reason. They see one thing added, and look, the only way for if you have a couple bad movies before it and you magically somehow get a fourth good movie or something in the series that connects everything, and it been shit before, it doesn't make it better. You just connected more shit and you finally got something good out of the shit, but it's still shit overall. That's all you got.
You know, to be fair, right? I think that does make a difference. Like, for instance, I enjoy Captain America 1 a little bit more now after the 2.
Right, but Captain America 1 wasn't trash. It was just okay. It wasn't trash.
Yeah, no, but it really was the definition of okay. It wasn't, you know,
right,
like,
but it was okay.
It
wasn't like horribly bad, amazingly good. It did enough just to get by for a first movie, but the second movie better. Third movie, I don't like it more than the second, but it's still a good movie. It's not better than the second, but it's still good.
Yeah. But yeah, Captain America 1, 1610 man goes in, bro. He just like he's hardcore. Captain America 1 equals mid.
I think that might be J-Man on the burger.
No, I don't think so. J-Man would never say that about Captain
He's
America.
He's called 1610 man.
Yeah, but J-Man, trust me, would never say that about Cat. He loves that shit. All right, let's go on to the next one.
33, Black Widow, the long.
Okay, so just to make clear, this is bullshit. I know you guys are gonna say it's not bullshit. This is one of the best MCU movies. It's an actual film. That's the first thing. It's an actual film. So I'll let it run, but and we can have our debate after. But I'm sorry.
Lost Phase 3 MCU film that they decided to use to kick off Phase 4 after Black Widow had already died, which was a bizarre choice. If you put all that aside, I enjoy the film as kind of a spy story in the MCU where you're diving into a particular family dynamic of sorts and seeing how the characters went off in different directions, how they come back together. There's some real standouts in here with Yelena.
This thing that you do when you whip your hair when you're fighting. It's a fighting pose. You're a total poser.
Not a poser.
As well as Red Guardian. Certain action sequences I really enjoyed. I think the Taskmaster twist was ill-conceived. It gets very cartoonish and video gamey in the third act.
Like Black Widow, the entire third act was reworked as we were shooting, and which is incredible. And so they just want that freedom.
But I enjoy it more than most. Then we have...
All right. So go on.
Oh, fuck.
Let's have it.
Is Blue Beetle so low?
I mean, it kind of deserves to be so low.
It does deserve to be this low.
Yeah, it isn't bad, but come on, it's like pretty mediocre.
Wait, has he even got the BBS yet? Has he got the BBS yet?
Yeah,
he got BBS over this shit.
BVS is better than this.
Yeah, no, BVS and all those are going to be high up because he's a Snyder fanboy.
Yeah. But let me just let me. I don't think it deserves to be this low, but it's not the one that I would argue a lot with. But to be honest, I think this should be maybe in the 20s. Blue Beetle.
Okay,
It should be in the 20s, but it's not as great as people make out. I don't understand it. Like, I don't know if I disagree.
I rewatched it again, and looking back at it, out of the most recent DCU films that came out, this movie Blue Beetle was honestly, to me, as a film, better than Black Adam, The Flash.
No way, it's better than The Flash. It was not better than The Flash. It was not. Watch The Flash again. The Flash
better effect and more heartwarming. Don't you do that shit to me, Durbin. Don't do that.
Dude, I'm telling you what.
I like Aquaman too, bro, but I think Blue Beetle especially had more heart to it.
Blue Beetle was maybe I'd see because of the annoying jokes in Aquaman 2. I can see that.
Aquaman 2,
but
like
you can't.
Blue Beetle had heart that I wish Aquaman 2 had more of in it.
It had one scene of him meeting his father. Yeah, it was a good scene. He meets his father in heaven. All right. I get it. He meets, but it's the characters were terrible. Like that grandmother or whatever the fuck. The grandmother was awful. All of
she was
them
amazing.
Were
don't hate on the grandmother. Man, when she told them now we can cry, I felt that shit. I was in tears. That shit was beautiful.
Dude, I don't know what you watch. I honestly don't know what film. I don't know what I agree more with. The people who say the movie was lame, agree less with. The people who say the movie was lame, which it wasn't. It wasn't a bad movie. It was pretty much as good as any of the first MCU movies. I'd put it on that level. Yeah, like those first 4 or 5 MCU movies. I'd say it's a little bit better than them.
No, man, I don't want to be your enemy by the time the stream is over, man.
That's not bad.
Dude,
I look at you. Like I'm saying, all right, it's better than Thor. A little bit better than Thor 1. It's a little bit better than, maybe not as better.
That doesn't make it any better. You're just saying it's a little bit better. No, let's just move on. You're hurting my feelings.
All right. I'm not gonna go into it, but I don't think it's a terrible movie like Cole. Yeah, but I honestly think you're capping a little bit too hard. Huh? Blue Beetle. We're talking about Blue Beetle.
No, I don't think it's terrible. I said it's just mediocre. It's below average.
Below average? That's not good. That's
yeah. Well, it's a tier above bad, so it isn't bad. But
if that shit below average, that means that shit
call it good or anything. I'm sorry, doesn't do like anything.
It has
The main
Susan Sarandon as a villain. Like, come on, bro. Like, it's
yeah.
the main,
Look,
and
she was
she's so comic
she was
booky and
serviceable for the
ridiculous.
plot. I'll give you that. I did say that in my review. She was serviceable for the plot. Care
She
Packs,
weren't as
had a little bit more impact, but she was very much a serviceable for the plot
she
villain.
It
weren't as good
doesn't
as
feel
Helen
finished
Mirren.
at
She
all.
weren't as good as Lucy Liu.
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree.
She weren't as good as Black Manta.
Because it's
She
clear that
weren't
the
as good.
protagonist it's clear that the protagonist, that Sholo was the standout and not the villain. This one of those cases where the villain didn't stand out, but the protagonist was the one who shined.
Yes, I'm sorry. There's so many moments in the
He's a
film where it
TV
feels
actor,
like
bro.
scenes are missing.
He's a TV
Dude,
actor. Man,
he's a TV actor.
couldn't even
Dude,
give him a chance, man.
I'm
He's
I'm
great in
gonna go.
Cobra.
I'm gonna go in right now. I'll say
Nah,
one
don't go.
thing.
Leave my man alone. He great in Cobra
No, I'm
Kai,
gonna
dude.
say one thing. I'm gonna say one thing. You see, it's because you're Cobra Kai fans. That's what it is. You're
It's not.
bringing over that
I'm
Cobra
not.
Kai
I'm not even
love
a Karate Kid
to
fan. But Cobra Kai is a dope TV show. It's dope.
exactly, and that's why you love everything that he's in at the moment. That's why you're trying
No,
to
I
cap
don't.
this dude.
It's not that. I just loved it. Look, he was an amazing
He's
Jaime Reyes. He was on point.
You can see in
Looks
your
like
face, you like that's the reason. I'm gonna
it's
go in
part
on
of
him.
it. But
I'm gonna go in on him.
man, skip
I
to the
like
next
the
movie,
movie.
nerd man. Shit.
I like the movie. His performance was okay. He was not that great in the movie. Anybody could have done what he did. But this is where I'm gonna go in on him. The dude who played Adam Smasher was more charismatic than him in the role.
What the fuck? Oh hell no, nerd man. You
The dude
tripping.
who
Adam
played
Smasher
Adam
was
Smasher
mid
in Black Adam
It was
was
mid.
more charismatic than this dude in Blue Beetle, and that's not like he was
All,
bad
all,
in Blue
all Adam
Beetle,
Smasher did was flirt with the black girl in Black Adam. He did
and he
nothing
was
more.
more charismatic. Even in those little scenes, he was more charismatic.
My boy Sholo had more game when he hooked up with Ted Core's daughter. You know when he pulled her at the end of the movie and flew up into the sky. He
Yeah.
had more cool, nerd man.
He
He
was
actually
dope.
got some. He got
This
some.
fake ass
Adam
Iron
Smasher made
Man stroke Spider Man.
Mhm.
Anyway, look, I'm glad you enjoyed the movie. I think it was good. As the Blue Beetle movies go, I think it was good. I'm not like on Cole's level. I really did enjoy it when I first saw it, but I also don't remember anything about it. You know, like watching it, I was just like,
Well, it's because you only seen the movie once.
true. No, but I started watching the beginning of it again, and I could.
You know, I felt the
But
same way
anyway,
about
forget
all
about
of
it.
them.
I couldn't
You
finish
started
it.
it but didn't finish it because you was like, "Oh, I want to watch this bullshit again. I don't like this movie."
No, but let's go back. Let's go back to Black Widow, which is a better movie than Blue Beetle, by the way.
Oh hell no!
Why does everyone hate that movie? Why does everyone hate Black Widow? I don't
Man,
understand.
I don't hate it, but they did fuck up Taskmaster.
Okay, they fucked up Taskmaster,
Taskmaster was
but
pretty bad.
outside of that, I don't really see what is wrong with that movie at all. I think it's a pretty decent spy movie, as they say. It's like it's what it
Yeah,
is, you
it's
know.
all
And
right.
like,
I think for the placement of it, it was for in the order, it was incorrect at
yeah,
the time when they did it. And it's not like saying
yeah,
I agree. This should have came out at phase 2, but this should have came out where Spider-Man Far From Home came out. Because this movie should have served as an epilogue for the Infinity Saga. I think it would have been something, kind of like beautiful to end it on. You ended on Black Widow. She finally gets her movie, and she's the epilogue that ends the saga, not Spider-Man, who should be starting up the next phase, which is 4, 5, and 6, which is for the new heroes, the new people. So the order it came out in was bad, but the movie itself, fine. Taskmaster trash, but it was
sure, okay.
They just it's just
I
a
mean,
good storytelling opportunity to release this at the end
look,
of the Infinity Saga. Would have been kind of.
I'll tell you what though, he's gonna
know.
put Shang-Chi above Black Widow, and I really disagree.
Oh yeah,
with that.
I agree with him.
Oh, you think Shang-Chi's better than Black Widow?
Yeah.
Oh, you're fucking nuts. Shang-Chi ain't even better than Blue Beetle, let alone fucking Black Widow.
I agree with that. Yeah,
anyway,
it's not better than Blue Beetle.
Hello, Nerman. Hi,
You
dude.
don't hear me saying that shit.
All right, let's go to the next one. Fuck. Shang-Chi's terrible, bro. I don't know what you're talking about. As soon as what's his name comes back up,
It's
he
one of the
ruins
best movies
another
on
movie.
Phase
I
4.
mean,
It's one of the
Shang-Chi
best
He
has
ruins.
great moments, but also some of the worst moments in any MCU film.
Its humor is terrible as well. Like,
Yeah, it
I
has the
mean,
worst
Oh
humor
yeah, I
ever.
forgot. Red Guardian was trash too. I forgot. Red Guardian did suck.
Red Guardian
Trash.
was not trash. He was funny,
He was
dude. He
the
was a
worst
good
super
comedy
soldier I've ever
relief.
seen on screen. That's the worst super soldier I've ever seen on screen.
Oh, because everyone's just going to be this hard man. This is what the problem is. It's
I mean, he's supposed to be.
It's toxic masculinity. That's what you guys, you comic book fans like. You like toxic masculinity. You can't have a man just be like a comedic kind of character.
Well, I'm fine with it being like what's that term? Not comedic, but that character that kind of just softens up the mood, softens up the gun. What's that character called again?
Comedic relief. Comic relief.
Yeah, comedic relief. I'm fine with being comedic relief, but you can still be tight. Like there's a lot of comedic relief characters that's like still cool.
Yeah,
as
but
fuck.
he was only not tight in the fight scene with Taskmaster.
I didn't think he was tight in general. I thought he was pretty wimpy. I didn't feel bad for him after he basically sold his fake daughters into.
The scene genuinely nearly made me cry when Florence Pugh and he started singing that song that he used to sing to her and she started tearing up. That scene nearly made me cry. That scene,
Yeah, but it wasn't enough to
actually had heart to it.
Yeah, but it wasn't enough to like redeem his ass because he still fucking gave up those little girls to Dreykov and shit and didn't fight for them.
Dude, all I know is I didn't care one fucking iota shit about Black Widow until maybe Endgame, a little bit, but not really that much. I don't like Endgame that much anyway, and Endgame should have been on this list already, by the way. But
I really hate that the one time you like an MCU movie is the one that I don't really care for that much. It's just that shit makes me mad sometimes, but you're my
it's
father.
The way it is between father and son.
Your taste, I gotta respect you're my father.
All right, so let's carry on. Blue Beetle. Again, I don't know what to say about this movie. It's hard.
Blue Beetle, a late DCEU film, which had a very interesting blend of doing fresh new things while also borrowing heavily from many other comic book films of the past. The thing that really helps it out was the family dynamic, where Jaime's family aren't just tagging along, they are pivotal to his life. They're pivotal to this story and the adventure and everything taking place. But also, when you look at it, it's very reminiscent of Iron Man and Ant-Man in multiple different ways. And so it does.
And Spider-Man and Shazam with the family element, by the way. But
have a freshness to it.
So just
not
because
the
he's
plot.
based around a bug, it's Spider-Man.
Who said that?
Systems tracking.
Sorry, say what?
So just because he has a high-tech suit and he's being named after a bug, it's Spider-Man.
Oh, a teenager walks into like some high-tech company and comes out with insect powers. That doesn't remind you of anyone.
They're not insect powers. Though.
They are insect powers. What are you talking about? He's a
the only thing insect about him is his name and the little things on the back. He got rocket cannons and shit, plasma guns.
He's a beetle.
Spider-Man's whole thing is Spider-Man's gimmick is more based around being a spider. Blue Beetle, like,
oh my god,
about him is yes, he's named after Blue Beetle, but he just has those pincers in the back. The rest of him is far from being a bug.
Young Justice.
If anything, he's more Tokatsu Power Rangers Super Sentai inspired than Spider-Man.
You know what I would have really liked to see in this?
This is more Power Rangers and Super Sentai inspired, which is the Japanese Power Rangers.
You know what I would have really liked? No, but you just mentioned it. You know what I would have really liked to see in this movie? I would have liked to see a more. It was basically Shazam meets Iron Man. JG Shaolin quote of the day.
Is it because of high tech suit? All right, so if we
this is the problem. As well.
All right, so never mind. If we go by this logic,
Shazam's family theme. Did he jack Shazam's family theme?
All right, if that's the case, by this logic, every human superhero we see, oh, they're just Batman, just another Batman, just another Batman. Every time we see another Superman type of archetype, it's just another Superman thing, just another
No,
Superman
that's not
thing.
right.
Like, come on. This shit
No,
ain't
if
even
they have,
fair
It
to
does
these
it
movies
does all
doing
of
that
them
shit
weaker
like
though.
that.
That's the issue.
This shit ain't even fair to these movies if we gonna
look,
do that. Because a lot of these characters got
look.
similar
The,
powers. A lot of
the
these characters
issue
got
is they
similar
do
strengths
all
and
of them weaker though than the other films. If at least did one of those things like stronger than the other, it's kind of
Facts,
copying, then it would do
facts.
fine. But
Facts.
Wait a second. Humans need to read Blue Beetle. No, they don't. No, they don't. Blue Beetle is not something you need to read. It's just he's a side dish character in DC. What are you talking about? Why
He's
don't I
more
read
popular
some
than Ted
Plastic
Cord
Man?
as Blue Beetle.
Would
The
you
hell?
let's read some Plastic Man as well? I mean, dude, look, if you're into Blue
Never man. He's
Beetle,
literally
that's
more
cool.
popular than the original Blue Beetle. Ted, well, not
I
the Ted
know
Cord,
he's
but
fantastic. Here's what I
Ted
would have
Cord
liked
used
to
to be
see.
the main Blue Beetle, the most popular Blue Beetle before Jaime. And Jaime barely been around for that long.
Here's what I would have liked to see, because clearly the people who are into Blue Beetle are very like, it's because he's a very anime style character. I feel like he's a character you might see in anime and stuff like that.
Okay.
You know, almost like a Guyver. You know, like, do you remember Guyver from back in the day? This
Yeah.
character, do you remember that? No, see, because you're a fake fucking. Not only are you a fake DC fan, you're a fake anime fan as well. But anyway, so
Oh well, no, never mind. That's why I said you're not wrong, but like fucking Common Rider is literally based around like bugs and shit. That's why I say it's more Common Rider, Super Sentai, and Ultraman inspired with Blue Beetle.
yeah, exactly. So I would have liked to see more of an anime, like taking aesthetics from anime and stuff like that,
It did
infuse
though.
that in the movie. I feel like part of the problem I have with this movie isn't so much the story. I actually dug the story. The story was a little bit generic, but I dug it. The thing that I had a problem with is how mediocre the film was, you know, as a film, as a piece of visual media. I just didn't find it that exciting. That was my problem with it. Whereas other DC movies,
Mermaid, you know
no
this
matter
is just
what,
as good as Shazam 2 and Shazam 1.
huh?
You
Sorry?
know this is just as good as Shazam 2 and Shazam 1.
No, it's definitely not. Absolutely not.
Fucking
Absolutely not. Some of the shots in Shazam 1 and 2 are fucking like, especially Shazam 2. Going back, watching it, and looking at some of the shots, it's like he manages to make the comic book come to life. And I really fucking dig
this
that.
movie. Comic
I'll
book
watch
action
it again.
right
I'll
out
tell
of
you what, I'll
out of-
watch it
comic
again.
book action right
We'll
out of
watch
the
it. We'll watch it father and son, and I'll watch it again. I'll give it, you
Yeah,
know,
we need to
I'll
do a
always
watch
give
party
you
on
the
Blue
benefit of the doubt and watch
I'm
something
gonna
again.
beat
But
you
I
with a
just,
shoe if it isn't good.
sorry, say again.
I say he's gonna beat you with a shoe if it isn't good.
Blue Beetle is mid as fuck, as Ant-Man 1.
Ant-Man 1 is mid compared to Blue Beetle. Blue Beetle is actually
To keep it a
good.
buck, and it's more accurate to the source material. You were saying this earlier. I don't know what source material you're talking about, because New 52 Shazam does exist. You might not like it, but that's a comic book, and New 52 Shazam 2 is accurate to. But it also takes from a lot of the themes and a lot of the heart of the Golden Age comics. So it does all of it, just like Wonder Woman 1 did, and everybody loves Wonder Woman 1. Why? Because it took
I would
elements of
say
New
Shazam 2,
52, but
even
it mixed it with the classic Wonder Woman.
though that was
That's
New
what it did.
52 Shazam, Nerdman, it did take a lot of its own, like, did its own thing, because, well, it had, like, all the Cyclops and stuff, the unicorns. But, like,
Yeah.
the route they took
From
with
the
the villains by just building new villains from the ground up, very much doing their own route, because those are new original villains that we never seen up until that movie.
I don't know, what does that mean? Don't even mention New 52 garbage around me. What does that mean, dude? New
I mean,
52 was garbage, but not every single thing in New 52 was garbage. There were
not everything
actually
New 52 was
some
garbage. New 52 overall
good things.
was
New
depressing.
52 overall was garbage, but not every single element of it was garbage. And actually, Jeff Johns was the one who wrote the Shazam comics, and Jeff Johns is fucking brilliant. So I don't know what you're talking about. 50 years of Shazam was ignored for the Shazam movies. Just come on and argue this with me, because you don't know what you're talking. Like like you don't know what you're talking about. Like what 50 years was ignored?
They
What was ignored?
primarily pulled from just the New 52 era stuff.
They did not. They took the I'm telling you, they took the story of New 52, but they took the actual what do you call it? Like the heart, the soul of like the golden age Shazam comics for that movie. And they did it even more in Shazam too.
But
I don't want to. I don't want to get
let's
stuck on Shazam. We can debate that later, but I don't want to get stuck on this.
Let's really be honest. Look at it like this. Compare New 52 Shazam to Shazam in his Captain Marvel in his appearance in that that Batman and Superman story where they were enemies of the public and
yeah, that was classic Golden Age Shazam, where he's
right,
basically
but very much
on the
wisdom
attitude of Solomon. Yeah.
But very much a different, like, because I don't get me wrong, I like Zach Levi Shazam, but when he turns into Shazam, he's like still
the
same.
And that was what 52 did. But you have to remember this. You have to remember this. Just like the Flash has been existing for what? Over the new Barry Allen Flash basically has existed for how long? Let me do the math. Maybe 60, 70 to 60 years, something like that. And he still didn't have a holistic, complete origin story that made sense until Jeff Johns came along. Same with Shazam. Shazam had like little patches here, but nothing was consistent. So, although Jeff Johns did have a lot of respect for the source material, he innovated some stuff. And one of the things he innovated was, hey, it's actually more fun. It's actually more fun if you have a child that turns into a superhero, if he remains the child when he's the superhero, rather than just turning into a straight up adult. And you might disagree or agree with that, change. Personally, I can see both sides of the argument, but at the same time, that is an actually interesting idea. What if the superhero remains the child?
Yeah, which is not a bad thing.
The child is a good kid, so he becomes a hero.
And I don't disagree with that, but this is the thing, especially in this movie format that was in this trilogy. While I acknowledge what they was going for with Shazam 1 and 2, like Shazam 1 made the perfect sense. Billy's 15, makes sense, right? Makes sense. And also there's a reason too, like he's finally able to let it rip and just be a kid. He feels invincible, all that. So it made total sense for the first movie. Second movie, he's like damn near 18, still, I'm not saying he's going to drastically change, but still like goofy and shit. It's like you can still be a kid, but he was still like the end of the movie when he's like talking Wonder Woman, like, hey, we're going to date, It's like, come on, dude. Now you're doing a little bit. Actually, Levi was playing it up a little bit too much compared to a childish counterpart, which was a little bit more.
Oh no, I think that's a fair argument to be made. Like in the comic, it's that, and comics have the advantage of you can just keep the kid the same age
for so long
for ages, right? But the kid and the adult like acted the same. Do you know what I mean? Like Billy the kid and Billy the Shazam character acted the same, and I think they could have done a better job of conveying that in the movies. But I think that was a filmmaking mistake as opposed to a script mistake.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
get what I'm
it was
saying? That
yeah.
was that was a casting mistake as opposed to a script mistake.
I
I
wouldn't
think
say
the
casting,
script,
just like a mistake on the director's part of not paying more attention. Because in the first movie, it made sense why Zachary Levi was playing it up. Like, don't get me wrong, it does. I can defend it. It makes total sense. This kid has been, holding back for so long. He had to grow up faster than most kids, and now he gets to reduce himself to being a kid again. He feels invincible. He feels like he can do whatever the fuck he wants, and he's acting like a kid. And then he
yeah,
realizes he can't be doing that shit. It's just probably the second movie he should have matured more over time. That's
yeah.
matured a
I
little.
mean, I
He
didn't
did
see him
mature in
as
a way,
like
but like
he was more mature than say fucking
oh yeah,
Spider-Man
yeah,
in the second Spider-Man movie, or even in the
oh, yeah,
third
yeah,
one.
yeah, I agree.
He
Yeah,
was
yeah, I agree.
he like, what did he do that was like strictly immature? He said a couple of things that were like maybe a
No,
little bit,
it's
you
just
know,
the it's just that
the
that goofy shit
delivery.
they wanted to go for. It was a little bit too much. It's like I understand
I
if you
don't
was
know.
younger, but you are getting older now. I'm too fair. Some people are still they still like to play around, be jokey, but it's like
Mm,
it still felt like he was still 15-year-old Billy when he became older Shazam.
Sure, sure, I agree with that. It's just, as I said, I don't. Like, I think that was more of a casting issue, like between the two actors, and what their strengths were basically.
Yeah,
But I still think he pulled off the emotional scenes quite well. I still think that
oh, yeah, I
yeah,
agree.
I think like for the most part, he you know, he when push came to shove, he did the right thing, and that's what I liked about the character. Like when they took what's his name, Freddy or whatever, and he just flew straight away, like he didn't even think about it, just flew off to get him. It was like there was a maturity to it. There was a like, oh, like this guy isn't gonna just take anything. But anyway, let's get off Shazam. I really want to get off this topic. Barry literally started the Silver Age of DC Comics. Exactly. That's exactly it. And up until then, DC was basically ignoring these characters. If you think about how many Superman and Batman origin stories there were, you couldn't find like an origin comic really for the Flash. They started almost, like from the first one, right?
Now,
After that, you
Flash
didn't
first
get,
comic was an origin. Wait, are you talking origin in the
yeah,
sense of like deep diving all the way back into his past, like family growing up?
right, exactly. All of that kind
Okay,
of
I
stuff
mean, because
wasn't
the first
really
Flash
kind of like
comic was an
established.
introduction to him and showed him how he got his powers and stuff. So it
Yeah.
was an origin to his powers and stuff, and just his first
Yeah,
big
it
beat.
was an origin. You see the lightning hit him and blah blah blah, but you didn't really get a deep dive into what made him a hero, why he was a hero, and there were good comics in between. I'm not saying there weren't good comics in between, but I'm just saying that if you see that the Batman, for instance, got like five, 10, but maybe even 20 versions of his origin story, like where people are really deep dived into the psychology of like this character. Same with Superman, right? They didn't do that for Wonder Woman, for Flash, for you haven't seen that until recently. Like even like Flash Year One was recent. And the Flash origin that happened with Jeff Johns, again with the mother dying, was recent. So yeah. I don't. My point to this was T that you know Shazam was the same. Shazam's mythology had become a mess because everybody who came onto the Shazam comic didn't even bother reading the last one, and then they just kind of went in their own directions. It was not until Jeff came along and actually took all of the mythology and tried to make sense of it that you really got a good deep dive into what the potential of all of Shazam's mythology could be. Maybe he made some mistakes, but at least he tried. Anyway, established and debut is not the same thing. 1610, man. All right. They're having their own discussion. T, you can come on. I don't know if K Dots can send you the link because I'm not on Twitter anymore. All right, so Blue Beetle, and obviously,
Okay. 31, Doctor Strange, another frustrating one in here because it has the most creative visuals in the entire MCU, where we're taking Inception and Dark World imagery and cranking up to this whole other level, and you're seeing things we have never seen before in a film. But on a story level, it feels like they're just trying to cram Doctor Strange into the MCU origin movie template. So it has so much creativity in one sense, and it's so formulaic in another. Bringing us into the top 30, Iron Man 3, another MCU.
I agree with everything you said about it. I just don't know why it's that high then. Why is Doctor Strange this high? Superhero trilogies equals origin story, retirement story, and evil doppelganger story. Sometimes.
16 men do not like these origin stories.
Doctor Strange equals another mid as fuck. I absolutely agree. I don't know why it's this high. I don't know why everyone pretends that Doctor Strange is like this great movie. The exact same thing I said about your Blue Beetle character, except it's done even worse in this movie, which is it's just like,
why you keep coming from my man Blue Beetle, nerd man? Come on, man.
I'm trying to keep it a buck so that I'm saying it's not just Blue Beetle. This is a mishmash of other superheroes that have worked, specifically Iron Man, but with magic.
Yes, I agree. Yeah. Doctor Strange one.
It takes a little bit of Batman Begins as well. It's like,
nah,
sorry.
Morbius one. No, Morbius one straight up stole.
Yeah, Morbius was
Morbius stole straight up stole from that stream from. It stole the score from Batman Begins. That's that.
Exactly.
Doctor Strange one played it off.
You know what's interesting though? I was asking this. Why didn't he put the X-Men movies in this, and why didn't he put the Sony movies in this as well?
Well, he's supposed to.
No, man, I'm streaming. I'm not streaming this year. Wow, you're not even streaming at all this year. Cool. That's good, man. Keep up. Keep that up. Sorry, go on, Kato.
He's supposed to say DCU. If he does mention any DC films that aren't of the DCU, like Joker or the Batman, then this list is fraudulent.
Well, he's not going to mention those because they never do, because they'll be right at the top where they belong. Shazam pretends to know what's going on for the support. I don't get that.
That's my girl, Vivi. What's good, Vivi? Not like my girl, but you know.
Yeah.
What's up, Vivi?
Morbius equals mid as fuck. Late that's origin stories. You're right. You have to look hard on for these.
Like, yeah, Morbius wasn't that bad.
Morbius was terrible, bro. It was. Are you kidding me?
Morbius was so good. I didn't even watch it. That's how good Morbius was. That shit was so good. I didn't even decide to go to the theaters and watch it. I didn't even watch it for free. That's
you know what? I think I did actually watch that in theaters. I watched it in theaters. It was awful. I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
You know, Jaded likes that shit. We should send Jaded the link. Why you want to send Jaded the link?
No.
MCU film that I think
No, I'm
was
joking.
dramatically overhated. Now, if you want to criticize the film for the plot twist, I gotcha.
So I made a decision and it was wrong. It was a bad call, Ripley.
They decided to be subversive and they took away a more interesting villain for a less interesting villain and some cheap poop jokes. If you don't like that, fair enough. Aside from that, it's a solid Tony Stark movie where Shane Black's writing fits his character nicely. The action sequences are memorable, interesting, and different from one another. And so besides Shane Black being a little bit too clever for his own good, this is a solid MCU film. 29, Birds of Prey and the incredibly...
Shane Black ain't clever for shit. This dumb motherfucker Shane Black was in... Oh my gosh. You know that Predator 2018 movie?
Yeah, okay. I mean, that was bad, but he made 2 great films before that.
He did make good movies before that. He made Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. Kiss Bang Bang is fucking good. Nice, is really good movie. Nice
So
Guys is
just 'cause
okay.
he makes
Nice
well,
Guys is
okay, so
okay.
he made 2 good movies and 2 shit movies.
Yeah,
He's 2
but
for
no,
2.
I agree
He's
with
2
him on
for
Iron
2.
Man 3. Actually, all those flaws, and it was stupid, and that's why the main reason a lot of people hate it. It should have been something different. But the actual stuff in it, like with Tony Stark and the action scenes, is actually good Iron
Wow.
Man Tony Stark stuff. It is.
Do you see what's
Iron Man
happening
2 had
here?
better action
You see
scenes,
what's
Cole. Iron Man
happening
2
here?
had way more action
Cole is basically sticking up once again for one of his A24 style
Right.
directors right now.
What?
Because it's a director
No.
you like. Because it's a
No,
director you like.
not
You're
at
trying to
all.
stick up for him.
Predator was shit. All right,
You
I'm not
are
the biggest fan of
capping
him. He
hard.
made a couple great films. All right, I'm not even saying the film's good. I'm just
You're
saying
capping hard.
there's worse
His
ones.
Predator
And there's
is
good
better than
aspects.
Iron
This
Man
is
3.
okay.
His
No,
Predator movie
Iron
is
Man
better than
3
Iron Man
is
3.
okay.
No, it's not. Predator 20. They both equally trash. They both on the same level.
Iron Man 3 is okay.
I'm not saying it's
all right?
good. I say I enjoy it more than Iron Man 3. That's all I'm saying.
Oh my god, Shane Black is
No,
man, he's
Shane
just
Black's a
as bad
good
as Zack
director.
Snyder.
No.
He's
I'm
just
not
as
gonna
bad
have
as
the
Zack
slander. You can have a bad day at the office. Maybe some genres don't suit you.
He had 2 bad days
You
at the
know,
office.
but he's made some really good like underground, not underground. What do you call it? Indie style movies. He's actually made some really good ones. So I'm not gonna have to slander here. He's a
Yes.
very, very good
And
director.
he also
Perhaps superhero
helped
genre
write
isn't the right
Lethal
thing for
Weapon.
him. Yeah, he helped write Lethal Weapon or whatever, but the problem with Iron Man 3 is the twist. That twist ruins, and you're right, it was a good movie up until then. But the problem is that twist retroactively spoils shit you saw in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
It really does. Because all of the bombing, all of that sick shit I was thinking, holy shit, like when I was watching this movie, this villain might even be, like not Joker levels, but like you'd have him in the kind of discussion of like Joker. And then he just fucking flipped the script, like completely flipped the script to the
Yeah, and it
point
was
where
dumb.
the movie was unredeemable after that. And it became worse after that as well.
Yeah, again, it should have been a darker thing. They could have added all that stuff, but in the second film, but they should have kept just that on track for the third film. Yes, but I still think the good aspects overall make it passable. I
No,
would say the second's worse. The second's just mediocre from start to finish, and Mickey
I'd say
Rourke
the
sucks
second's
in it.
better. I'd say the second's better. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think Iron Man 2
Or I'd
is
say they're
second-
equally as bad or something like that. I don't
Oh,
know.
the second to me is just forgettable, below average shit.
Iron Man 2,
the
at
best part-
least you walk away with better action. Tony Stark is still dope in the movie.
I don't know. I like the action in the
Black
third.
Widow was cool,
My
Sam
favorite part of
Jackson.
it is the alcohol stuff in it when he went through that, But
Like, there's nothing memorable up in Iron Man 3 aside from the Iron Legion scene. But
wait,
then
what's memorable about Iron Man 2 besides like the scene with him and Don Cheadle and then like the racing scene? What? There's nothing.
War Machine and Iron
No,
Man
I did
teaming up.
not. What are you talking about, Terrence? Sorry, Terrence. I'm not happy. I'm just happy for you. That's what I'm saying. It's good not streaming for a while. I think it's a good idea. Anyway, sorry. I just had to respond to that. Go on.
Dang it, man. Cole's starting to be toxic. Let's just move on to the next movie. He's starting to be
Cole
toxic.
is a toxic. He's a toxic person, man. He's just toxic.
He's one of those
Fuck
toxic
all these films. These are A24 films, so fuck them.
Why is Birds of Prey this high? Exactly. Are they still trying to cap for this movie after all this
What
time?
the fuck? Yeah, this whole list track and Captain Marvel being. What the hell is going on? What is Nerdman? Why do you like this guy? Whoever this guy. This why I don't trust you.
No, because he's a nice guy. He's a nice guy. He doesn't do any, but he's clearly a He's a politician, bro. Why is Birds of Prey this high? I don't understand. Why is he capping for this movie this hard?
Now it's in the
All right.
it's in the 30s. He got
a
it
long title. Or simply Harley Quinn. This is another one where I enjoy it significantly more than most people. I enjoyed it as kind of like a street level DC film that has kind of a Guy Ritchie flair to it, with Harley as this unreliable narrator. At least one of the action sequences is very cool. Some of the other ones, not so much, but I liked that it was much smaller scale in what it was doing.
I couldn't stand the action scenes in this movie. They were so stupid. I didn't understand why Harley Quinn, of all people, is the only DC character that decides not to kill. Not Batman, not Superman. It's Harley Quinn who decides
Yeah,
not to kill.
she went in there and so she was killing Black Mask guards, but stopped killing the police. Like, make it make sense.
Like, make that make sense.
Yeah.
She didn't kill none of the police officers, and then also, where's Batman at to come stop her from fucking raiding a police precinct? And where's Jim Gordon at to call Batman and shit? Like, what the fuck?
I mean,
This
I'm
whole-
not usually one of those guys who's like, oh, you know, because you know, I see films as their own thing. Like, I don't necessarily think of
And
it
then
as like,
Nerman
oh,
with
it's
the
the
plot.
you know.
Remember, with the plot of this movie, this should have low-key been a big scale Gotham movie, because she literally blew up a what's it, the thing she blew up? That nuclear waste plant. The whole city should have been in
No, the
freaking
chemical. No, it was a chemical. It was a
chemical
chemical
plant.
plant.
The
It
whole
was a
city should have
nuclear
like
plant.
been a toxic zone that they had to move people out the city for.
Sure.
Batman would
I
have been all over.
mean, look, again, I feel the same way as him. Like, this movie isn't as bad as people make out, but like, for it to be 29 and the movies that have come behind it, man, like, I'll take the Incredible Hulk over this.
Oh yeah,
You
I
know,
would
like,
too. The Incredible Hulk is way better than this. Yeah.
yeah, there's a quite a few movies, but like, anyway, even Thor 1, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
this
Thor 1 is
movie
better.
is weird.
Yeah. I mean, I
This
will
movie's
say there
fucking
is like
weird.
one scene in it where I do think the action's kind of good, like the choreography, but it just like one.
What they did have the John Wick scene.
Choreography in you know, the fun house where they go to the fun house is terrible, bro. Absolutely
Yeah, well,
awful.
the
It doesn't
one
look
like in
real
in
at all.
the jail, like the sheriff's station or whatever, and where she does like the roles, like that was kind of all right. That's about it.
Yeah.
Though. Really,
Yeah.
the only thing I liked in this film was some of the visual aspects. That's it. The rest of it is just terrible.
And then do you remember when this chick screams and she uses the scream to propel herself?
She didn't get no ear damage or try to cover ears from Black
Not
Canary.
even a Birds of Prey film. It's just a Harley Quinn film.
Black Canary's canary cry should have knocked her on her feet.
Yeah. The problem is the character, though. In some ways, I don't think that character's a solo character. I think she's a team player. She don't need a movie to herself. At best, you could do a Joker Harley origin, but like, I don't. She's just, it's batshit crazy. Why does a woman? So this is her story. This is Harley Quinn's story. She meets the Joker as a psychiatrist, right? She's a psychiatrist. She's an academic, right? She falls in love with him. He does some weird shit to her, and then maybe throws her into a vat of acid or makes her crazy or something like that, right? She goes crazy, and then suddenly she becomes the biggest badass gymnastic doing fucking martial arts kick-ass bitch on the planet. How does that make sense? Where because I always thought, oh, one of these movies is going to explain that to me a little bit more. Why is she this badass?
Harley was slightly mentally ill prior to meeting Joker. Now, going into the vat of acid makes her even crazier, but him being able to lie to her, you know, got her.
Sure, but why is she a badass in martial arts?
She knew all that stuff before she was a psychiatrist. When she was growing up, she was a gymnast. She was doing acrobats.
Shit, when does it say that in the? Show me the Harley Quinn comic.
I can't. I mean, it's in the show and stuff.
You just made that up. You just made that up right now.
That's part of her lore. She literally grew up as an acrobat.
So
She was doing that
okay,
stuff.
I can buy that she was a gymnast. When did she become a badass martial artist as well? Who
I
can
wouldn't
beat the
call her
shit out
martial
of
artist.
50
I
men?
wouldn't say she's a martial artist because Batman be kicking her ass a lot. She can do some
Okay,
flips,
but
and
she
but
beats
she's
up
not.
fucking men. In
Look,
that film, she
I
beat
don't
up
agree
men.
with her beating up Nightwing, but she can beat up Nightwing sometimes. I don't agree with that shit, but that's because they cut Nightwing. Nightwing is a way better gymnast and acrobat than her.
Yeah.
You tell me, did I just speak German? Because I'm not sure if I spoke English or not. She beats
No,
up
you were speaking English.
No, yeah, remember, I know
beats up
she.
men
I know
in the film. Like loads of men, like a whole police station
Yeah,
gets
I didn't like that either.
gets
I think
rolled over by
they
her.
was overdoing
How
it. They
does
was
she do
overhyping
that
Harley.
from just being a psychiatrist who did some gymnastics and ballet when she was younger? How does that happen?
The power of feminism. I don't know.
Nerman, why you asking me? I didn't write the damn movie.
Yeah.
Like,
You want to hear a funny story about it though? When I watched it,
I don't even like
Ewan
Margot Robbie.
McGregor showed up in the film, and I was like, "Oh, cool! I didn't know he was going to be in this." And then for like an hour, I was like, "Where's Black Mask?
Man,
Where
she
is
was
he?
an
When he showed
acrobat
up?"
growing up, and then she became a psychiatrist.
Okay, she was an acrobat. That doesn't make you a badass fucking fighter. I don't like.
No.
I
But
just want some explanation. That's all I've ever wanted from this fucking Harley Quinn
I think
character,
she
and
did get
nothing
some.
has given me an
Look,
explanation to
don't
that.
quote me, but I think she did get some fighting training growing up. But she has basic fighting
Why?
skills at best.
And then why would she become if she was such a badass fighter, like when she met the Joker, why was she this mousy, just like completely what do you call it, subservient, like just doesn't, like why was she like that when she meet him?
He laid that dick down on her. He gave her that crazy dick.
All right.
That I mean,
Because
Nerman, he dickmatized her. What you expect?
No, I'm sure. Look, I'm just saying the character doesn't make sense, and the when you have a character that doesn't
even
make
Terrence
sense like
Cooper,
that,
she learned martial arts in the comics. He can tell you better than me, but I know for sure she was an acrobat.
When does she learn martial arts? Show me. I want to see like the extensive training she went through that allows her to beat the shit out of like all these fucking dudes. Between becoming
we really bad
that.
extensive training, but he can go toe to toe with
So
Superman.
are you saying she went into the vat with the Joker, and then the Joker goes, "Oh, now you're like
I don't
Harley
remember if
Quinn.
she went in the
I'm
vat
going to send you off to the
wait.
best martial arts schools in the world so that you can be."
I don't remember if she went in the vat, but we have to remember because which version are we going off as because this to me this is the thing. The animated series Harley Quinn is the OG main canon Harley Quinn. Let's make that clear. The one in the comics is an adapted version of that one, who's the original one. And the one in the TV show was an acrobat. She wasn't really like super OP and have all these crazy martial arts skills, but she was an acrobat. She had a hammer, and she was limber enough, but she wasn't doing no like. She was getting smacked around too by Batman.
See, I don't buy that. You say none of these characters make sense. Daredevil makes sense. Batman makes sense. Look, Daredevil doesn't make sense in the sense. Look, I'll say this. Some characters don't make sense in the sense of like their powers are ridiculous, or how does Lex Luthor even take on Superman or whatever like that?
No,
right?
man. This is the
in
thing.
Terms of
this that motherfucker ain't blind. He can see. He just sees in a different way.
No, he can see. Yeah, no, absolutely.
See. He blind. That fucker ain't blind. He can see. He see through sonar, but he can see. He can see. He ain't blind.
He isn't blind. That's totally true. But if you do put on loud noises, it fucks his senses. So in that sense, he is kind of blind in that sense. But the problem is, I always understand how the character has got to the point that they're at. With most characters, you're at least you can go, okay, I can sustain my disbelief that even though it would take 5 or 10 lifetimes to master everything Batman has mastered, at least I know that there was a period of time where he was going around training in all this shit. He was training in psychology, he was training in chemistry, he was training in, you know, sure, you know that it would take much longer to master all of those things that he mastered, but you know that that was part of embedded in his story. You said same with Daredevil, right? Even Mercy Graves, this fucking chick that Lex Luthor was, was a bodyguard, right? She that was her job. So you have to assume, being a bodyguard, she did some training. Where the fuck does Harley
Right,
Quinn get
but
all this
Harley
ability
was
from?
also in a way.
And I'm
Harley was
saying
also in a way Joker's bodyguard in some form or fashion.
she wasn't a bodyguard. She was a psychologist. She was a mousy psychologist.
She was secondhand. She was also his little cannon fodder that he could use because he can rely on her to at least jumping away when he has to get away.
Yeah. I get it. All I'm saying is that character makes more sense the less exposed she is. The more you delve into the story, the less sense it makes, and that's my problem with the character as a whole. I don't think that movie of her was bad apart from the action scenes. What I think is bad is that the character's broken as a character. You can't have a movie just about her.
She's not broken. It's not that she's broken. It's just that with this movie, the whole movie Harley Quinn shouldn't even be here. That's the thing. If it's called Birds of Prey, it should only be Barbara Gordon, Oracle, and Black Canary at best, and that's it. Now with this, and Terrence does make a good point. Think of Harley Quinn as a person that does the drunken fist fighting style. That's how unpredictable she is. You don't know what she's gonna do. She's just unpredictable.
Yeah, but then they should play into that more. They should play into her.
Well, I mean, I think the DCU messed her up since 2016. I think she was messed up since 2016 because they rushed Harley's progression as Harley Quinn. They immediately dropped the whole villain thing and turned her into the more modern Harley that wants to change her life and get back on the right track. They skipped past so much so quick with her. They didn't develop her properly.
Yeah, I mean, I fucks with the character in the Suicide Squad. When she's on the Suicide Squad, I like her, but other than that, I don't really. Or when she's with Joker,
yeah,
when she's a henchman of Joker, then I fucks with her. But when she's just by herself, it's basically because she's sexy. That's it. People there were nerds who found her sexy. And you know how comic books, as soon as they go, oh look, it's a Batman character, and people like her because she's got tits. So let's give her her own comic. Why? You know what I'm saying? Why? You don't need to do that. It's just
if it's her with Poison Ivy or even Joker or Suicide Squad, that's when I'm going to tune into her. But I'm not going to tune into her solo because DC been kind of taking.
Hey, that series of hers is fucking good. I'll give her that. You know that series? I don't know if you've ever seen it. Harley Quinn.
I've seen a couple
the cartoon.
of it.
Dude, that shit is fire, bro. That's really good. That's what they should have done in the movie. That shit is actually fire. All right. So let's go on.
I thought it was high energy, and
you thought it was high energy, did you?
It has Harley Quinn doing cocaine.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
Then we have Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, another one that I think I enjoyed.
Really? This guy's got all my favorite MCU movies down in the dust. Why do people hate this movie so much? I don't understand it.
I don't know. I mean,
because it's a female villain.
I think it's mainly the MCU fanboys that really hate it, just because it didn't do a lot of fan service things they wanted in it.
Do you hate this movie, K-Dots, as well? Do you hate this movie as well? I think it's better than the first one.
I know, but this movie doesn't even barely follow up with what the first movie set up.
Good, because the first movie was generic as shit.
No. I get it, but it's part of a franchise, Doctor Strange. Do not lead with a. If this was the first Doctor Strange movie, different story. But don't lead with Doctor Strange 1. Set up Baron Mordo as your villain for the second movie, and he's not the villain of the second movie or the antagonist. That didn't make any sense.
Okay. Fair enough.
That
I
was the
get it.
biggest fundamental problem with this movie. Wanda should not have been the villain.
And also, it was funny because they made it out like Baron Mordo was a villain to him, like he was a known villain to him. And it's like,
Yeah, that shit too. I was
they
like,
just-
he wasn't fighting no fucking Baron Mordo. He was snapped away for 5 years. What the hell do you mean fighting
Yeah.
Baron Mordo?
But that being
I
said,
like
I
it.
really like what he did here. I thought it was a really good
Yeah.
movie,
I
actually.
mean, it had some
Everything
MCU
Sam Raimi
bullshit.
about this movie is the best part. Everything Sam Raimi, everything
Oh, yeah,
MCU.
it's two films. The Sam Raimi stuff is great. The other stuff is bad MCU stuff. But overall, I like it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly how I reviewed it. I was like, first of all, it should have been called Doctor Strange and the Book of Ashanti because there weren't no multiverse of madness going on here
Yeah, it was no
at all.
multiverse.
If it was called the Book of Ashanti and then it had those cameos, people would have been like popping off. Oh shit, really? Like, but when you call it multiverse of madness, people expect more multiverse.
Yeah.
So that was
Like I
that
saw
was an
some
L for the
MCU
movie.
fans in the theater like swearing like fuck this bullshit. And it was purely just because there were
A
not
story.
many cameos and because of the end credit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
But-
and also that third act, Strange not fighting Wanda, that shit was weak. Fucking American child.
Well, that was stupid. Yeah, and
That shit was
No,
whack.
it wasn't. I thought that was a good ending. I
That-
don't understand that. I thought it was a good ending. But
The problem with that was the same shit I have with the Thor movies. How Thor never really beats his own villains. He didn't beat Hela. He beat Loki, I guess, and he didn't even defeat his second villain. He defeated his second villain with some stupid device his girlfriend made, not his own fucking hammer. I'm like, come on, dude.
yeah, but that's how films are supposed to be. You're supposed to have an unbeatable monster, and you have the hero should not just be able to punch their way out of
I think it
punch
should
their
have
way
been
to
both of them
victory. It
fighting
shouldn't.
her.
No, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, but
like,
they already did that
I
in the
get-
first. They already did that in the first movie. I
He
think
did
you
not
could have
fight her at all.
You did
Didn't
that in
he
the first
fight
movie.
her? No, but he fought her at some point.
Yeah, and he got utterly destroyed.
Yeah, exactly, because she's an unbeatable monster. That's how it should be. And then he has to figure out a way of beating her, and then he figured it out that it's her, that this girl would be the. I thought it was built up nicely. I don't know.
But to be fair, this was a cut version of Doctor Strange, anyways, because in Infinity War, Doctor Strange has been cucked since Infinity War. He became stupid since Infinity War because he didn't use his full extent of his powers like he should. And I'm not saying he's cucked because he fought a female character. I'm saying he's cucked because the writers of Infinity War wanted to make him so weak and stupid that his dumbass was like, I'm gonna let Thanos snap his fingers so Iron Man can die. Yeah.
I love
and
that.
then No Way Home came out after, and No Way Home came out after and made it even worse. He helps Tom Holland with his stupid.
He was worse in No Way Out. He was worse in No Way Out, and he was worse in Infinity War than he was in Doctor Strange 2. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I agree, but that's
he
why I
was,
think his character is downgrading. Like he's just becoming stupid.
Nah, he's not watered down. He wasn't watered down like Thor. Not like Thor, Love
He's
and Thunder.
becoming watered down. He's becoming that.
He's
in the
becoming, but this movie was not part of that. This movie actually did a lot to, I think, make the character. It freshened up the character, if anything. I don't know, man. I don't know, but like the hate is real, bro. People hate these later on MCU movies, which I think are better than the beginning ones. I don't know. So here we go. There's a plot device and a MacGuffin with no person. How can you say this movie is worse than fucking Shang-Chi? I'm sorry, I don't understand that.
I'll if you force me, if you have to lock me in the room with this movie or Shang-Chi, I'm turning on Shang-Chi.
Sorry,
I'm turning on Shang-Chi.
Get that.
You would watch that over this?
Yes.
Are you high?
Look, the only good things about this is Sam Raimi. Sam Raimi directed. He didn't write this movie, so all the directing is good. The writing is a different story. He didn't write.
Yeah, but the directing is important.
Yeah, that's like his directing, the visual cinematography, the way he has the actor
Yeah.
do.
So
But
he
the
didn't
writing of
write
the
this,
movie,
but
he
he
didn't write
directed it. But guess what? It was an MCU guy who just like one of them MCU writers who wrote it. But
Yeah.
but a very good director directed it. And guess what happened with
And I
Shang-Chi?
said everything about Sam.
MCU
Sam Raimi
director directed it, and an MCU writer wrote it.
Yeah, that's what I say. Everything
See the
about the Sam
difference?
Raimi stuff was great. Everything the MCU and everything MCU with this movie, trash.
All right.
Sam
Fair
Raimi
enough. What were
stuff,
you going
the
to say,
best part
Cole?
of this movie.
Oh, I mean, I wasn't really going to say anything, but yeah, I don't know about that. The K-Dot story. I mean, like, again, what great moments were there really in Shang-Chi, like in comparison to this? Because I mean, they both had great moments and they both have bad moments.
Everything with
Okay,
Wenwu.
No.
He was overhyped.
Wenwu was a
Bro.
better villain than
Overhyped.
Wanda too. He was a better villain than Wanda.
He wasn't a better villain than Wanda. But first of all, I'll just say this: the only thing good about that Winwoo was that he wasn't just a typical MCU villain, which is trash. Not, and when I say typical MCU villain, I don't mean like, oh, they have some kind of trope. I mean he wasn't trash. And that's what most MCU villains are, trash.
Nah, but
So Win
Wenwu was like
on Winwoo on that
exceptional.
sense was a little bit better because he wasn't utter
Yeah, but it wasn't the
garbage.
character. It's just because they hired a legendary actor. That's the only reason.
Right,
Yeah.
but the character was still good, but the actor enhanced it so much.
The character would have sucked
Everything
without him.
everything to do with Shang-Chi was boring. Everything to do with his girlfriend and him and whatever was boring. Win was the movie. That
He had a
guy was
girlfriend.
the movie.
He have a girlfriend in the movie.
What that comedian chick? Everything to do with her was
She
trash.
wasn't his girlfriend. That's his friend. She was the girlfriend. I mean, they're not
Whatever.
dating yet.
The two characters were trash. That's what I'm trying to get at. He
Well,
was
that's
the
the thing.
Win Woo was the
I didn't
only
hate
redeemable
Aquafina in the
thing about the
movie. I
movie.
didn't think she was annoying. She actually was not annoying. She wasn't bad.
She wasn't as annoying as some, but like she weren't good. I'm not trying to say she's the worst. Like Natalie Portman was worse than her. Like a number of the generic chicks that are in these
Sadly,
MCU movies.
I hate to say this as a Natalie Portman hater, but no, Aquafina was worse. She like dethroned everyone as like the worst character.
Nah.
She was
That's
painful.
You off the panel, man.
She
you've been taking
She
it too
was
far this
painful
whole
in
vibe.
every scene. I wanted to walk out every time she was on screen.
Nerman,
That's a little bit cap.
Why do you keep giving Cole a man?
No, that's a little bit cap, but he's not far off. I mean, she was a good man. Like, I didn't find her as annoying as I thought I would find her. Like, I find Ned, for instance, of all those side characters and shit, like Ned in the Spider-Man movies, and a couple of other ones that are like side characters in MCU movies who are just there for comic relief. Like, but she's not good. She's in the mid range of annoyance for me. I don't know if she was as annoying as some of them, but I can see where he's coming from. Not a good movie. And when that fucking like I wanted to never think about the Mandarin again or whatever that guy plays. What's his name? Bill, the great actor that they ruined. Yeah, but like the actual real Ben Kingsley or whatever, he's actually a fantastic actor, and they made him do that shit, and they brought him back a second time.
Honestly, even if Ben Kingsley was Mandarin and they actually did it, Mandarin's supposed to be an Asian dude anyway. He's not supposed to be no fucking white dude.
So. Whatever, dude. The point is they ruined his character and then they brought him back to
No, but they
like,
ruined him from jump. They already fucked up with the casting.
Yes, but they brought him back again as the same fucking Trevor Slattery instead of actually bringing him back as the Mandarin.
No, he shouldn't even came back as the Mandarin. Hell no.
It was trash, bro.
The Mandarin is an Asian man.
Anyway, the problem with Doctor Strange too. I should have really gone back to this. Sam says America Chavez was a plot device and a MacGuffin. Guys, the hate for this character is real. I don't understand it though.
She was a bad character in the movie, but like that shit at the end with her in the third act was corny. When she punched Wanda in the face, that was so corny.
Fair enough. The problem with Doctor Strange 2 equals should have been an Avengers, the Scarlet Witch's time of the month. Oh shit.
Hey, she just want to save her kids, guys. Come on, she just want to save her kids. Let her save her kids.
Fuck them kids.
America Chavez, who is a terrible character, but she was heavily underpowered by comic standards. If she was up to snuff, she would have beat Wanda at the end of the movie. Okay. Another plot device, and she needed to be weaker, like the rest of the characters. Okay, so people really don't like Doctor Strange too, as it seems.
Well, I mean, so she was kind of pointless in the film and just that, but.
Hey,
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
Hold on. I support that comment. Terrence on point with this one. I support this comment.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I still think the directing itself was so good that it elevated the material. It elevated the material a lot. It reminded me of his Spider-Man movies, to be honest, like at certain points, when it wasn't caught up in the MCU-ness of it. It should have been called Marvel Studios Accountability due to Wanda avoiding that on a regular basis. Doctor Strange just glossed over how Wanda enslaved the whole community because of emotions.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
That's true.
I didn't like that. Strange was foul for that. He was, I'm not here to talk about that. The fuck? She enslaved the town of people. What are you talking about?
Doctor Strange 2, Reed Richards equals dumbest man alive. He did get fucked up. I thought that was hilarious.
Well, hopefully
That shit
Pedro
was
Pascal.
funny, bro.
Hopefully Pedro Pascal will be a smarter Reed Richards.
That shit was funny as fuck to me, man. The
He
way
said,
she
when
fucking wrote those guys.
he said her bed, he was like, "This is Black Bolt. He has the power. Once he opens his mouth to immediately destroy you."
Oh really?
Like, why you say all that?
What mouth? She fucked him up proper, bro. Anyway, so,
More than a lot of other people. A big part of that is because Sam Raimi, in particular, Evil Dead Sam Raimi, was so pivotal in kind of me getting into movies. And then he went on to do the Spider-Man films. And so him bringing his weirdness and his aesthetics to Doctor Strange, I have a lot of fun with that. There's some problems here in the story. You can feel the reshoots. Half of it feels directed by Raimi, half of it feels directed by a committee. But there's enough here that worked for me that I enjoyed it.
Then Doctor Strange, like we know those films often are fluid, and it seems like this one was a bit fluid. Like
so fluid. I there's a point in making the movie where I just stopped reading drafts. I was like, this is just gonna change again.
Was everybody there when you shot your stuff?
No. So it was weird.
So did you even know which characters were going to end up in that finished scene? Like,
I didn't.
I did my voiceover work to make everything that I'd already done on camera make sense. That's how we did Doctor Strange. That one was a wild ride.
27, Ant-Man and the Wasp. I know a lot of people were disappointed by this film because it just felt inconsequential.
I mean, this list was already trash, but this list is trash. No matter what, at this point, I don't care what he ranks. You got Ant-Man and the Wasp in the 20s. He should delete this video. He should delete this video. Why did
he should delete his account?
Ban him from YouTube.
Ant-Man and the Wasp.
He is unhinged. He got this about Blue Beetle. He is unhinged.
Well, let's listen.
Yeah,
to
this should not be about Blue Beetle. But anyway, yeah, let's listen to him.
Coming right after Infinity War. But that's kind of exactly what I liked about it. It was unassuming, intentionally small scale. It's a MacGuffin story, and it's meant to be lighthearted fun. And I like having that change of pace in the MCU where not everything is meant to be massive in scope and size. And so this, for me, is not trying to be a home run. It's just trying to be double. And that's what it was. I know some of you were anticipating some ant puns. I can't think of any at the moment. Next, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom.
What the the fuck was that?
So he ranked it that high because it wasn't trying to be this big, like, over the top movie.
Yeah, but
there's a lot of movies that aren't big over the top movies. He got on Blue Beetle because it felt like Iron Man and Ant-Man, more of the same. Ant-Man and the Wasp is more of the same shit.
Exactly. Dude, this is what I'm talking about. This is exactly what I'm talking about. I knew this was going to happen.
Like self-contained superhero.
It's always the excuses for the MCU. It's always the excuses. Oh, because it wasn't that big and over the top. Who gives a fuck? It was trash.
The comments of his video.
It held up being like what it was.
The comments are roasting him.
God,
what's the
like
name
the
of
first one I could
YouTuber?
understand that, but fuck not the.
Remember, what's his YouTuber's name again? Sean Chandler or some shit.
Yeah.
God. Yeah, he makes garbage content. Don't even.
Don't say that. It's not garbage. It's usually.
I'm just gonna tell him the fact he got Ant-Man and Wasp over the Blue Beetle is weird.
It's weird and insane. But whatever. Aquaman 2.
The final DCEU film, and I think that's one of the biggest things working against it. It wasn't meant to be the finale. It was just meant to be the next Aquaman film. And as the next Aquaman film, I think it delivers more of what people enjoyed about the first film. Globe-trotting, the royalty politics, and then the big plus on this one, Aquaman and Orm doing their buddy adventure together. All that stuff worked for me. But as a finale, it doesn't satisfy. It doesn't feel like it should be the end because it wasn't meant to be. 25, Avengers Age of Ultron. This is a tricky one because I feel like the high.
You know, it's high up because it's an Avengers movie. This
Jesus fuck.
He's a cuck, dude. He's cuck for the He knows that's what the audience want to hear. He knows that's what his audience wants to hear. The MCU.
Yeah, you have to cater to the WandaVision fans.
This is not.
Now.
This film is terrible. To be honest,
gonna like flip out where he puts Man of Steel. I don't know where he has it at, but it's
Avengers 2 is a tonal mess of a movie. You don't even know what the hell it wants to be. It's shit goofy as hell. Don't know how to take shit serious.
He just tried being
the action scenes in Avengers 2 are ridiculously bad. Like, do you remember? Like, compare the group action scene where they're just fighting all of these robots that are just completely.
The only good action scene in Avengers 2 is the opening scene with
I don't even think that one was.
But
that one was shot cool. It was shot.
It didn't evolve. They just did the exact same stuff as 2012, so it was outdated, and they just slapped some robots on top of it or whatever they're fucking fighting.
Yeah, they were just fighting robots that just were like completely easy to destroy. All of them just complete cannon fodder. It was.
What they made out of vibranium? Wait, what they made out of vibranium?
Yeah, exactly.
And then Black Widow and Hawkeye blowing them up with arrows when he can't even penetrate Captain America's shield. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. Anyway, so let's see what they have to say about
the moments, the jokes, the action set pieces are just as good as the first Avengers.
Are they?
But I don't feel the film is as effective on the whole. And I think some of that is that the story just has too many moving parts. And so I never connect with it quite the same way as I do with the first one. I feel like the director is too far ahead of the audience for too much of the movie, where we need more information to be following along with everything happening. So for me, this is the most confusing film in the MCU. 24, Ant-Man, one of the great what ifs of the MCU, because Edgar Wright was supposed to make this movie for like 10 years, and it kept getting delayed and postponed, and eventually the committee people up here ran off Edgar Wright, and so we got more of kind of a company man to come in and make the film, and I like it for what it is. It's charming, and you get Paul Rudd as a superhero. You get Michael Douglas also as a superhero. It's a heist movie. I enjoy all of that about this film, but you just wonder what could have been if we'd gotten Edgar Wright's Ant-Man. I know
I
some of
agree.
you are getting antsy, waiting for some of my pleasant ant
Oh, fuck
puns,
you.
but that wasn't in the cards for today.
Fuck you! I want to punch you. Nacho.
Ants.
Yeah, but no, I'm glad he mentioned all that.
23, Aquaman,
My
the
brain is
highest
rotting.
grossing DC.
My brain is rotting right now.
Yeah, it was still all right for
Well,
what
at least
it
he
was,
got
and because
Aquaman
of
over
the
Ant-Man in
Edgar
a
Wright
while.
stuff. But yeah, it's true. What a waste of potential because they had to kick out Edgar Wright, but there's still enough of it left in from him that it's all right. So yeah, that's one of the main things I'll agree with that entry and his
Nah.
reasoning.
I don't think he's a. Thank you, 1610 man. Paul Rudd is an annoying and overhyped actor. It's a bullshit movie. It's you watch it once, completely forget about it. The villain is forgettable. Everything about that movie is forgettable. I don't understand why people think it's this great little heist movie and whatever in the MCU, and it's not big stakes. It's just like a get the fuck out of here. It's it's better than Ant-Man and the Wasp. What?
Yeah, I don't know why MCU fans keep on like the heist shit isn't even really like it's not even it's an okay heist.
It's in there for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. There's a like 5 minute kind of thing where it's like a bit of a heist movie. It's not like like one of the great heist movies. When you think about like like really good heist movies, you don't think fucking Ant-Man. It's not even in the top 100.
It's only good for MCU standards of like, okay, they're doing a different type of genre in the superhero stuff, but that's about it.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
I
not
don't
even
mind
as good
stuff
as
like
most
the villains
regular
and
heist
stuff,
movies.
though. Like, I don't mind that they're like forgettable or anything because they weren't the main focus of it. The main focus was other things, and it's not a traditional comic like superhero film, but I thought it was fine for what it was. Just again, if Edgar Wright just got to make his fucking film instead of that fucking hack Peyton Reed, it would have been great.
Hey, you know what? You know what? If Ant-Man
The
is
score
hype
is
movie,
bland. The cinematography is bland. The powers are bland. The villain is bland. The characters are bland. Apart from Pedro, the Pedro guy, the Hispanic guy. Everything in that movie is fucking trash. I'm sorry. I don't understand why it's like so high and like.
No man,
Michael
if
Pena.
Ant-Man is a heist movie, then Avengers Infinity War by that logic is a heist movie.
Right, exactly.
Thanos stole some stones, heist movie, guys. Heist movie.
Whatever. Please release the Edgar Wright cut. All right, that's a cut that would actually be worth protesting for.
And the fact that he got Aquaman lowered.
He didn't make the movie though.
Yeah, well, he should.
Not really. It should, but it should be higher. I think Aquaman and a number of
Film of all time. It is a very silly film at times. James Wan just wants to entertain, and it feels like he throws everything at the audience. And so we have this massive story about brothers competing for the throne. It's globe-trotting. It's got action. It's got all sorts of sea creatures, silly jokes, complicated jokes, lore, all of it. And does all of it work? Not necessarily. Does enough of it work? Absolutely. I have a lot of fun with this film, and it's a more emotionally resonant than I think people give it credit for. 22, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, the MCU film without.
Oh my gosh. He's trying to play it safe. He's trying to please his black audience. Sean, your shit ain't working. Your black audience is gonna fall for it, Sean.
Yeah, they're those recast people,
Yeah, he trying to make the recast people happy. No, he trying to make the don't recast T'Challa people happy. This for them.
This movie is. I don't even remember it, bro. Honestly, I watched it. I just it's so bad I couldn't even fucking get through it. It really is just like it's boring, and I thought I'd like the underwater stuff, like with this guy or whatever. It was just I don't know, man.
Yeah. Also, I usually
Just
don't.
they should
care
have had
about plot
T'Challa in it.
holes in films, but me and my friend, we counted all the plot holes and things that don't make any sense in this film. There's literally like 300. There's so many
And
fucking.
and the Ironheart character, what was she? I mean,
Had no
the
purpose.
problem is I can't even critique the movie because I don't even remember it that too tough. Like honestly, it's like
That's for the best.
it just wiped out of my memory completely.
People
All I
think
know is that
Angela
I didn't
Bassett should
enjoy
have
it.
won an Oscar for like one
Irvin,
line.
after we finish this list, we should really report this guy's channel and get it off YouTube. Because ain't no way. Ain't no way.
Yeah, report it for racism.
Yeah,
Dude,
I'm about to
Thor
report.
1's better than this.
Right.
There's a number of movies. Like, what movies has he gone through? Like, there's like the only movies I can think that are worse than this are Eternals and what's it called? This Captain
I mean, there's
Marvel,
a lot that I
maybe.
think are worse than this. I mean, I would say the Marvels is worse. I would say, Thor: The Dark World is
Yeah,
worse.
but like
Love and Thunder.
this is not better than Doctor Strange 2. It's not better than Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, whatever, man.
It's not better than Iron Man 2.
It's not better than Iron Man 2. Like, let's keep it a bucket. Ain't better than Iron Man 3. Like, it's
Man, it's
at
not.
least Iron
Man,
Man
it's
3
not.
had the
It's not.
beginnings.
It's not even better than when Adam and Eve had sex.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever that means. All right.
Without question, was dealt the absolute worst hand for the obvious reason that they were very far into development, scripts written, and then the star of the movie tragically died. And they had to rework the film, and this was all in the COVID era. And given everything that went on behind the scenes, I think the movie is remarkably coherent, and they found a way to bring an emotional weight to the film in light of all of that. But I think that's also one of the things that works against the film because it is so weighty on an emotional level. It feels like you're attending a funeral when you watch this film.
Absolutely.
So
I agree with that last
it largely works, but
he's right on that, bro. It did feel like a funeral.
All the advertisements were also like that, especially that intro and everything in the trailers. It was so stupid.
That's why it's hard to read, and it's not because it's just that first act kind of throws you out. Like, it's a funeral.
Why did they use? Yeah, why did they use "No Woman, No Cry" in that? I still to this day I don't understand that. It's about
that made me laugh.
Was Chadwick Boseman a woman?
No,
why is it "No Woman, No Cry"?
Why did he die from like a cold?
What did you say, Cole?
Why did his character die from like the equivalent of a cold when they
right,
killed it in the film?
Yeah, I think they gave T'Challa influenza or whatever. They didn't say what he got, but they probably gave him shit like influenza. He just instantly.
Did somebody like poison him?
It was HIV, bro.
Wait, what?
Oh my god.
This movie's bad. Look.
And is he not going to talk about how Shuri was absolute garbage, or is he too afraid?
Yeah, she was completely trash. Like terrible,
so
terrible in the first movie.
Like that actress.
She was the worst bit of the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then they made her Black Panther.
Yeah, like the character was good, but the actress wasn't. Like, she's been bad in every film. There's only like one film she's been good in, and that's because it was directed by Steve McQueen.
What was that? What was that joke she does in the first movie about his shoes? That shit was stupid as shit, man. Anyway, let's see what the rest of this guy's list is. He'll probably have Black Panther at number 5, I'm sure.
But it doesn't have a lot of rewatchability. 21, Shazam, big as a superhero movie, and that just makes it pop and stand out. Zachary Levi.
You see that shot right there of him turning into Shazam? You see that shot of him turning into Shazam right there?
Yeah.
That's better than any film, like filmmaking in any MCU movie. Just that
Yeah.
shot.
Yeah, well, they tried to do some good filmmaking in Black Panther 2, but it was poorly done. It was like somebody trying to make like an intellectual film, but they don't have the resources, except they did, because that's the MCU. It was just, and there was like a bad light in effect with like the camera. Oh God! But yeah, I'm just pains me to know what he put above this.
Yeah. Shazam 1 should be like.
He thinks Man of Steel was better than this.
Yeah, Man of Steel is not as good as Shazam. Straight facts. All right, let's listen to the rest of this.
Is so good at playing a man-child.
I'd like to purchase some of your finest beer, please.
And doing that in the context of a superhero story is just something fresh, new, and different that we haven't seen before. But the real surprise here, it's a movie that is surprisingly heartfelt. It's all about family. There's parts of it that are gut-wrenching, but then when you come together at the end of the film, it's very satisfying and emotional. So a film that works on a bunch of levels I wasn't expecting. Kicking off our top 20, Shang-Chi and the Legend.
Here's your bullshit movie. Here's your bullshit movie.
I like Shang-Chi, but it's not better than Shazam 1. He tripping now. He was already tripping long time ago on this list, but damn, we really need to report this channel.
The film that has a fucking wooden plank as a lead is better than Shazam. Okay.
Yeah.
Of the 10 Rings, an MCU film bringing in a bunch of influence from Hong Kong cinema, whether you're talking about the Jackie Chan influences on the bus fight or the Yuan Wu Ping wire fu choreography of the beginning of the film. It's just cool to see that in an MCU film. You get one of the best villains in the MCU. I think a couple of times the requirements of being an MCU film hurt it a little bit. There's some forced humor in the third act, but otherwise, one of the stronger
There's some forced humor in the third act.
There was
only in the third act.
Bullshit in the whole film. Like,
Exactly. How about the forced humor?
It's like I get what he means by the influence and everything, and that's what made it, have redeeming qualities to me and with some action stuff. But the MCU bullshit in it ruined like almost every scene of it. That's the thing.
Yeah, exactly. And can we be clear about something? Again, I like to think of it like this. If you're comparing this to other martial arts movies, since it's influenced by them, right? Is the martial arts anywhere near as good or as impressive as those fucking martial arts movies?
It's in an MCU film, so it's great.
It is. I will say this. It is the best martial arts in the MCU ever, based off how it's directed. Long takes, no shortcuts. It's really good for the MCU. Right. It's not bad martial arts in general, but there is better martial arts movies. A lot of Jackie Chan movies, Donnie Yen movies.
You're comparing it to Jackie Chan and Tony Jaa and Bruce Lee, and you're like, what are we talking about here? Or fucking, what's his name? The one from The One. What's that guy's name?
Jet Li.
Jet Li, that kind of stuff. This shit doesn't compare at all, bro.
No, but it's not. Look, it's not. Look, it's in it, but it's not better than most of them. It's really good action. Like, really watch those action scenes again. The action scenes in this movie are on point. That's one thing you cannot take away from this movie is the action scenes.
I don't know, man. I think you could take.
This and Winter Soldier is the only two like solid like. Action.
What about Black Widow? Black Widow had some serious action in it.
Not as good as Shang-Chi. Not in this.
Maybe not as good as Shang-Chi, but even if you do 10%,
it had the Hollywood action. This very much had like that Eastern director, Eastern action director.
I really wish I could watch it again, but it's just so fucking boring.
Just go watch the action scenes. Don't even watch it. Just go watch the action scenes. I'm telling you.
I'll go watch the action scenes, but I was not impressed. Just saying.
Yeah, they're not better than like most Jackie Chan movies. Don't get me wrong, they're not. But
it's an insult to even mention Jackie Chan in the same fucking breadth as this movie. That's what I'm trying to get at.
I mean,
to
they're only
compare
saying it
Jackie
because
Chan.
the character's Asian. They're only saying because the main character's Asian. That's all.
No, they're saying it because they want to elevate this movie like to something that it isn't. You can't compare what Jackie Chan does to some CGI bullshit. You can't. How are you going to compare that? That's what when you're watching Jackie Chan or fucking Tony Jaa, you're watching somebody actually doing all of the shit. Whereas half of the stuff in this movie was not really, you know what I'm saying? It's like, in fact, most of the impressive stuff that was done like with movie magic, and you could tell. Is the guy who stars in it is an actual martial artist, right? Like he's a martial arts guy. So
Not that I know of. I don't know if he is. I think he
because
maybe learned something, but I still think there was a stunt double.
yeah, I mean, to me, it didn't look like. Do you know what I mean? You could tell like the way it was cut and whatever that this didn't seem fluid, like when you see Jackie Chan or something like that,
But
and you
I
go,
will
"Oh
also
shit,
say
that
this too.
he did that shit."
Yeah, I will also say this too. In some of the scenes, the way it's directed, even though they are doing like some long take sequences, it does to me kind of look like it is the actual actor in the scene. Even if
Oh,
they might
that's
like
good
pan
for
the
me.
camera around to his head, it still looks like he's actually the
Yeah.
one doing it.
But even if you compare it to Daredevil, when you look at Daredevil, those fight scenes, like they're dirty, they're real, there's something, and it's the same with but even on a better level with someone like Tony Jaa, you see that scene and it just looks raw. Whereas you saw this, I don't know, it just seemed weak, man. It seemed like a diluted version of like these martial arts stuff. But whatever. It's better than Shazam. All right, whatever.
MCU films of Phase 4. 19, Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, Ultimate Edition. I don't watch the theatrical cut, so I'm sure it would be much lower on this list. But this is a film that I've always been drawn to it. Maybe it's the simple fact that it has Batman and Superman, but it's a movie that actually tried to tackle ideas, tell a complex, layered story. It's overly ambitious. Some of that leads to a convoluted, messy plot. But as much as I can see the flaws in it, some of that doesn't matter to me. It's still a film I thoroughly enjoy, respect, and constantly find myself going back to.
Was there a rush to kind of throw too many?
Oh, fuck this guy. Fuck this guy. But anyway, this is too low on the list.
No. This is too high. Good Lord. And also, what is this Ultimate Edition shit? What did it really add? It just added.
It
more,
didn't
like,
add anything. It
it
literally
added more
did not add
pointless
nothing.
scenes
It just added Ben Affleck's booty.
The only thing it did was make Lex Luthor's plan a little bit more like
Yes,
tangible.
but those scenes also with it were terrible. Like the person who fucking was pushed like in the
No,
subway.
I'll
like,
agree with you on this. The Ultimate Edition, I don't know why people go, "Oh man, it's like a totally different movie. It's like completely like." No, it isn't. It's the same fucking movie. It's not like Justice League and Justice League. That's why I was anticipating Justice League to just be the same shit. But actually, that was a completely different movie. Whereas this was just exactly the same movie. Then I'd love to get a hold of because I can't find it anywhere but the theatrical version and just compare, because it's just like, yeah, you're right. Like most of the
It should be
scenes
on
they
Max.
added,
Never mind.
most
It
of
should
the
be on Max, both versions.
all right, I'll check it out. But most of the scenes they added were just Superman walking around saying nothing, or Clark Kent walking around just like he's on a boat and he has no dialogue and he's just like there was just that kind of stuff, and then a couple of scenes that made Lex Luthor's plan a little bit more plausible. That's it. So I agree with you on that call. I just like both versions a little bit better than most people. I see the flaws. I definitely see the flaws, but it at least it has some kind of substance to it. I guess, you know, like as opposed to a lot of the fluff that I see in the MCU.
Yeah,
So
I
that's
like
my
the
opinion.
I like a lot of the ideas he tried doing. It was just executed like a piece of shit, and it was
Sure.
filmed like a fucking car commercial throughout the whole fucking runtime.
Interesting. Like a car commercial. All right.
Yes, and there's some shitty product placements, and that fucking driving scene was so horrible.
No, the Batmobile scene was tight. What are you talking about?
No, no,
Apart
no,
from
the
the
one
fact
before.
he was killing people, I thought it was tight.
Yeah, no,
To be
no, no,
honest,
the
all
one
the Batman
before.
scenes. Which one
Which one you
before?
talking
Oh,
about?
when he was
When he's
driving.
in just that, yeah, the regular
Yeah,
car during that, all
okay,
that
yeah,
shit.
yeah. That did actually look a
Yeah,
bit
the
like a car commercial.
Batmobile scene I didn't mind. You know, it's just poorly explained why he was doing that stuff and killing people. Like again, I got what he was trying to go for, like being in that
Yeah.
desperation where then he turns to stuff, but it was just never explained properly and it was shit. Just
It
like
was
stuff
it
in Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Yeah, no, it was kind of just weird because he was killing cats, and you were just like, wait a second, these guys aren't even like hardened criminals. They're just working for some corporation. You know what I'm saying? As far as he knew, unless he did like an investigation on them and found out they were criminals, but as far as he knew, they were just some guys picking up some stuff and transporting it for
Well, you
like
know what would
Luther.
have been funny if he was like talking to Alfred while in there and telling him to do scans on people's background, and then he scans up people like what they're just regular workers, and then it pops up they're like child. Yeah, I won't say the last word, but you know what? And then he's like, okay, and mows them down.
Just most them down because it was like they might have children, bro. You're just killing those guys. Like it was a weird. But the thing was, I thought every action scene was fantastic, apart from the Superman versus Batman one. That was the only one that I just thought this is just unimaginative. Like Superman would easily get out of all of this stuff, like
There's only
easily.
one I liked in it.
Yeah, the Batman warehouse.
Yes, every other fight scene in it to me was, I said this before, it's like the equivalent of two children pretend sword fighting in the backyard.
No,
That's
that's
was it in a
MCU.
nutshell.
No, that is MCU. Even the way the last one, the way he shot that thing with Doomsday, Doomsday looked like a piece of shit, but the way it was shot was excellent. Like the camera movement around that fight was fucking dope. It put you right in the center of it.
Yeah.
I don't think it
Well, I
was
mean,
just
what
generic.
about you, K-Dots? What do you think of this?
Kados is gone.
Ah, okay,
Crazy.
fair enough.
All right. So let's go on to the next one. And Kados can tell us his thoughts later. I don't want to hear this guy. I really don't want to hear this guy, but I don't want to move it forward.
Many
I
characters
think
in there.
so. I think so. And I just think I know the pressure that we were getting from Warner Brothers was just we need our MCU. I was one of the people that was just saying, whoa.
You were not one of the people saying that,
Yeah.
you piece of shit.
You were
You
not.
fucking lying piece of shit. You're the one who wrote Man of Steel. Don't fucking lie. Whoa. This guy
This guy is such a blind
he's
fanboy of this universe. Holy
no. But he's also look. This guy, he's the writer of Batman v Superman. Oh, sorry, Man of Steel, and he wrote Batman Begins, but Nolan fixed it. So he claims Man of Steel is his idea, and it's not his idea. It's from Superman Earth 1, and I know he read the comic because he writes in the beginning of that comic how it changed his view on Superman. And literally, Man of Steel is a rip-off of that movie, except that comic, except not as good. So he tries to take ideas for his own, pretend like he innovated these fucking ideas, and he pitched it to Nolan. He stole somebody else's idea, a better writer than him.
Okay, so he's like the comic book movie version of Taika Waititi. Got it?
Yeah. Anyway, let's carry on.
Before we walk, like hold on. Like they were very methodical in the way we built it. We just can't jump into all of these things.
18, Captain America, the first Avenger. I absolutely adore the first hour of this film where we see the Captain America origin story, and you have this very altruistic hero in Steve Rogers who truly wants to do the right thing. It's classic heroism, a person of traditional nobility, and adding to that just the aesthetics that they brought to it, the fantastic Alan Silvestri score. There's so much to love here. I don't think the back half is as strong as the first half, but still a great Phase 1 MCU film. Next, Thor.
You see what I mean?
Yeah, more nostalgia. Again, that film has so many and the same issues as a lot of the others you criticized in the back half. Now, I agree. Overall, it's like still a solid film to me because
It's
of the
a solid
positives,
film.
But good fucking lord, you're gonna criticize those other ones a lot more harshly than this. Like they had the same exact issues. At
Yeah.
least like mention them.
Oh gosh, and he's got Thor Ragnarok at 17. I don't even want to.
Oh fuck.
For Ragnarok, here Taika Waititi reinvents the Thor franchise, throwing in boundless energy, a vibrant color scheme, a snazzy new score, and just easily made the best Thor film that we have had thus far. Yes! It's funny. It takes full advantage of Chris Hemsworth's impeccable comedic timing. It tells a story that still has emotional resonance to it. You remember all these quotable lines. And so this was just the right Thor movie at the right time. I wish Waititi could have held himself back in a couple of sequences or handled a couple things differently. Otherwise, great film.
Because that's what heroes do.
16,
This shouldn't be that high.
No, I agree with it being that high, but that's just me. But yeah, with the Thor Ragnarok, I mean, I kind of agree with him to an extent. The Thor franchise did need that change of pace and everything he listed, and Taika did do like a solid job with it overall for the most part in those areas. Like, obviously then they should have done something, changed it for Fortune and have like continue with that and overdid it even more. But for Ragnarok at the time was fine. But once again, there's a lot of MCU bullshit in it and ruining like the villain and everything. Like that's just like,
But
why is it so high?
Yeah, no, I'm not even going to go into it because I've said it all before about Thor Ragnarok.
It's like I don't hate it like other people. I think it's all right. I just also don't understand why people praise it so much.
I despise it with all my soul. I think it's just it's so stupid a movie, and it completely doesn't take anything seriously. None of these characters are meant to be funny character. Hulk certainly isn't meant to be a funny character. I don't think Thor. There's a little bit of comedy there in Thor in the sense of like, yeah, he's like this ancient god in modern times, but it's not like pure comedy. His best stories are like serious stories. Same with Hulk. That's the problem.
Yeah, I mean, do you think
the whole comic book
praise it?
thing is like, let's make Aquaman a joke. Let's make fucking Thor a joke. Let's make all these people. They don't need to. And then a character like characters like Ant-Man and Ant-Man and Iron Man and fucking what's it called, Shazam, for instance. All of these characters who it works them being funny they don't feel special anymore, or Deadpool. They don't feel special anymore because you've made everything a joke. Yeah, but it's not fair on films like Suicide Squad where you can inject the humor into it. Now I don't care about the humor.
They all do it. Yeah,
because they're all doing it, and it's not fair. Like these stupid Thor movies and fucking and people go, oh, this one was a good one, but Thor: Love and Thunder wasn't. Thor: Love and Thunder is not that much worse than Ragnarok, to be fair. I mean, it really isn't. To me, I think they're cut from the same fucking cloth. Maybe a little bit better. Oh, Jaded's here. You can send him the link, by the way. If
okay.
Chris Evans equals overhyped, mediocre, cool guy actor, but Chris Evans is a good actor. It's not.
Okay,
not
but
Chris
I did have
Evans.
to ask you, Norman. So, do you think the people who praise Ragnarok the most are just like the ones who don't read comic books, who just like hated the first two, so they just wanted a completely like comedic thing for a change of pace, but don't know anything about like the changes they made and everything?
Yeah, sure. None of the MCU fans read comics. That's the problem. That's why they don't
Okay,
understand
fair,
that
fair enough
actually.
there, but okay.
Actually, I mean, DC has changed their characters. It's mainly changed because in the comics, there's precedents for most of the changes they have in the films, from like say what we were used to with the animated series and stuff like that, things that people grew up with that they reference when they say, oh, I know Batman and I know this character or that character. But the MCU is just in terms of comic book accuracy or anything like that, is just ridiculous. It's really fucking bad.
To quote Tony Stark, and you didn't invite me.
Jaded, it's not that things happen, Jaded. Things came up.
I see.
Well, you're here now, Jaded.
Also, welcome to my world.
Jaded, I think Jaded, this list been on point. You'll be proud of it.
Yeah, this list is something you would make.
I'm gonna put Thor Ragnarok in 7. Or what was that? What was the one that was? What was the one before this?
It was 17. Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah, what was it?
It was Thor Ragnarok. The 17.
Yeah, I'm gonna put Thor Ragnarok 17, please.
All right, here's your movie, K Dots.
Hey,
of course he loves it. Number 16.
It's up there.
Now you're gonna be capping for this dude. MCU fans equal fanboys and fangirls.
Honestly, Nerman's kind of low. It's kind of low. But I gotta see what's ahead of this.
I think it should be lower, but I'm glad he has.
Nerdman. He didn't rank Captain
Suicide
Marvel.
Squad. Mickey Mouse briefly
Nerdman.
fired James
Captain
Gunn,
Marvel.
so DC snatched him up, and the project he wanted to do, the Suicide Squad, which I think is a very nice pairing. He's really good at pulling together these weird teams that kind of form a family together and taking bizarre characters and finding the humanity in them. Taking characters that seem very evil and calloused and bringing heart and humanity to them.
Yeah.
And that's all throughout.
Yeah, the heart and humanity. What are you talking about? Oh my God.
You have to pick. You have to pick one of the biggest dick suckers of YouTubers. Like, this guy is just. I don't know how anybody can take. Everybody complains about that one woman, that one girl. What's her name?
Grace Randolph.
Yeah, everybody complains about Grace Randolph. This guy is just beyond irredeemable. He really is. This guy is.
He's beyond redemption.
He's beyond redemption.
He's a nice guy, but like the problem with him is like you could totally tell he's playing to his audience. He's playing it safe. He's making the review because there's reviews where you clearly see that he's liked the movie and then he puts it like way down because he knows that like his audience don't agree with him, or not even the audience. He presupposes that because of what he sees on YouTube, he measures the temperature on YouTube, and then kind of adjusts. But in terms of this movie, what are you talking about? They basically stole the story from the first movie of fucking the main character with his daughter. So was that like a genius move by fucking James Gunn to just take fucking Will Smith's story from the first movie and fucking give it to a completely different character? Was
Hold
that
on,
the part you're talking about?
Did it better.
Complaining about James
What
Gunn.
part?
Hold on. Wait a minute. Are you complaining about James Gunn, the guy who's supposed to save the DCU?
He will save DC.
Oh yeah, sure, because we've seen what he does.
Yeah, we see what he does, and he makes great comic book stuff. So W.
Oh my
It
You guys
does.
are blinded by that trash 2016 Suicide Squad movie.
No, look, dude. I think the only reason that the Guardians of the Galaxy movies are even decent is because James Gunn was on a leash. This is James Gunn off the leash, and it was just. I found the movie.
It was good. Come on now.
It was not good.
Oh,
it was not
Cole, you see this? Now, this and me and Cole are on the same side. Cole, do you see this bias going on?
Yeah, this is complete bias, right?
Let's talk about. It was brought up on how these people don't actually read comic books. James Gunn is a perfect example of how he doesn't read comic books.
He reads comic books. I seen his collection. He posted it.
He got Gamora wrong. He got Drax wrong. He got Mantis wrong. He got Star-Lord wrong. He got Ego wrong. He gets everybody wrong, but nobody notices because guess what? They're characters you don't know.
That's what it is. I don't get it, man. I honestly don't. But you know, fair enough. Look, if he was just dealing with the Suicide Squad, I wouldn't even mind. You know, it's fine. Whatever you want to make your stupid, you know, like what do you call it? Gross humor comic book movie. Hey, there aren't many of those, and there are people who are into that kind of gross humor. I think he does it much worse than pretty much everybody else in that space. Like, I'll take Seth Rogen. Is it Seth? No, Seth. What's his name? Seth. The guy who did.
Seth Rollins.
No, Superbad.
Joe.
Well, no, the guy who actually wrote it, like the two guys,
I wrote it.
Seth something. I don't know what his name is, but like
Seth.
It is Seth Rogen.
No,
it is Seth Rogen.
Seth Rogen didn't write it.
And he's the one who does The Boys and all of that kind of stuff. The Boys makes fucking Suicide.
Oh yeah, Seth Rogen. Seth Rogen. I'm sure, but I'm thinking about somebody else.
The Boys makes Suicide Squad look like a piece of shit.
Oh my gosh.
2021 Suicide Squad looks like a piece of absolute trash in comparison to The Boys.
Remember, man, Peacemaker is better than The Boys. And I'll die on that hill.
Oh my God! Of all the hills to die on.
Yeah, you don't even like The Boys, so you should agree with me.
Yeah, but they both suck.
Oh my gosh, everything sucks to you.
Only the bad stuff.
Wait. You don't like The Boys either?
No. There's too many problems with the movie. Why? Okay.
What is wrong with The Boys?
Because there's too many plot inconsistencies and there's too many.
Oh my God, you and fucking plot inconsistencies.
Oh,
All right. I know where this is going.
It's called standards. I know it's you know.
I know it's I know where this is going. Let's go on to the next movie. I want to get past this guy's list. You and your inconsistencies, your fucking critiques are inconsistent. Well, what is? There's nothing wrong with The Boys. I thought you'd actually like that one.
Oh, okay. Episode 1. I can still remember this. Episode 1. You have it that the guy that becomes invisible, right? He goes into that electronics store to kill that main character, and the one guy with the beard bites him on the hand, and he starts bleeding. The invisible guy starts bleeding. Fine, not a problem. In the second or third episode, you're told, oh yeah, by the way, his skin is invulnerable and can't be cut. Then how the hell did he bite him?
Sure.
No, we're not going to
There
bother
are
explaining. We're
inconsistencies.
going to hope that because it's been 3 episodes since the last episode, since it's been 3 episodes, you won't remember how stupid it was in the first one.
Yeah, okay, but you remember that shit. But then
They're all
there's
worried.
there's more to the story than that.
All
There's
worried.
more.
Okay, I'll give you another one. They're all worried. What was this? The guy that was going fast. He's all worried about killing somebody. Why? In the opening scene, you see what's his face? The strong guy, the main bad guy.
Homelander.
The guy that's the Superman clone.
Homelander.
You see Homelander stop the van, take one of the robbers, throw him up in the air. The robber lands, smashes on the car, is totally dead. Nobody pays attention. Nobody cares. So apparently, these superheroes can kill anybody in broad daylight in front of hundreds of witnesses. Nobody cares. But the speedster's supposed to care that he accidentally killed somebody? Come on.
But wait a second, they were criminals.
Yeah. Also,
Homelander
you can
kills the criminals.
apparently you can kill. So what if they were criminals? You know, they get to kill criminals
He
now.
he killed an innocent girl who was standing in the road, and then
Killing
Homelander killed criminals.
is fine. Killing criminals is fine, and nobody has a problem. But you kill an innocent person.
In the logic of the boys, yes, but and also Homelander's a complete psychopath. So
I understand he's a complete psychopath.
But anyway, let's move on. Okay, what is going on? What's the next movie?
This film also, he found a fresh new angle on the comic book movie genre by bringing in influences from like the Dirty Dozen and old.
Oh my God!
You mean the same concept that was done in 2016?
This guy goes on like Kick-Ass never existed, bro. Like fucking. There have been many comic book movies, superior comic book movies that have done this adult humor and whatever so much better. It's I'm not even gonna go like
war films, and so you just got something funny because he's a funny guy, but also fresh. Next, The Flash, a movie that was dramatically more polarizing than I was expecting after I saw the film. I found it to be very funny, but also deeply emotionally resonant while pulling at all of my nostalgia strings at the same time. Now, I've been a part of the discourse on the internet. I understand where a lot of you are coming from. Of course, the VFX aren't very good. But for me, as someone who lost a parent when I was only 20 years old, a story about a...
Oh my God. Really? Really? What's that got to do with anything?
What? So any film that has like a single parent you'll love, okay.
I guess he loves all those Disney movies.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, so it's clearly just subjective, whatever, but like that's fine. At least he's admitting it. But The Flash, what do we think of it?
It had its moments, but it was still, unfortunately, has its issues. But it was better than I expected.
I thought it was pretty damn good. And watching it again, I actually thought it got better, especially the end, which I wasn't that pleased with when I first saw it. But like watching it now again, it gets better. As soon as Michael Keaton enters the movie, the energy in it just completely picks up.
Oh, I would have to agree with that.
And I'm not saying that's not many people would go, oh, like I'm dissing Ezra Miller or something. I'm not dissing Ezra Miller. I'm just saying his performance was good in the beginning of the movie, but the story wasn't like doing it for me in the beginning of the movie. But as soon as Michael Keaton comes in, the whole thing fucking just, it feels more important. It has more gravitas to it. And yeah, I thought it was pretty fucking decent afterwards. So there we go. K-Dots as well. Yeah, but Cole, you hate this movie.
Yeah, that's
Yes,
because Cole hates Ezra Miller. That's all.
it was. Well, he was garbage, and he was even worse than Aquafina. But that's besides the point. It was just so terrible on almost every level. It makes BVS look good.
I think you should watch it again, but then again,
Oh, I have. It's absolutely terrible. Don't. I said the only thing that I kind of like about it is there's a few parts with the humor that kind of work, and they at least try to do some creative new things that Jaded did bring up before. And I was like, okay, I understand that, but yeah, that's about it. The
It
film
was
just
missing. It was the thing was missing a Flash villain. It seriously was
I
missing a
was missing
Flash
everything.
villain,
Cinematographer, director,
and
musical
it was
score
it was
composer. Yeah.
and no, the music was good towards the end, and also
It was missing
you're
an
such a
actor.
son of a bitch.
It was
You're
missing
such
an
a son of
actor.
a bitch. No, the music was good. The cinematography was fine. The only thing was the VFX, man. The VFX in that movie fucking ruined it. It ruined it. Like
Cinematography was
even
bad
the
as well. It was
What,
also
what, what
missing
was
an
the actor
editor.
they were missing, Cole?
What's that?
What was the actor they were missing?
A lead actor.
Oh, a lead actor.
Right?
Oh, okay. They were missing a lead actor. Okay.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, on we go.
Son trying to reconnect with a parent that he lost when he was a child. It hits me all the right notes for me. The movie ends on a satisfying emotional note. And when you care deeply about the emotional current of a film, stuff like VFX, you can forgive it because that story and current is what matters most. And that was my experience with the film. 14, Black Panther, one of the more mature films in the MCU that tells a story that's kind of pulling from a bunch of Shakespearean influences where you have family members competing to see who will sit on the throne. It touches on modern ideas, but it doesn't do it through lecturing. It does it through story, where you have a villain who is very much a villain and always is seen as a villain, but there is a kernel of truth in what he's saying that moves and changes our hero as well as the nation, that makes for a very well-rounded story that has something to say and tells it through story. 13, Spider-Man.
Okay. Black Panther is one of the better MCU movies. It is. To me, that isn't saying much. That's all I can say about Black Panther. I don't necessarily disagree with the ranking there, but
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I think a lot of movies are better than it. Like I honestly do. I think Doctor Strange is far 2 is far better. I think Shazam's far better. I think I don't. Yeah, well, it's better than Black Panther. I think a lot of movies are
So
better
many
than
that
that.
are better.
Billy. Like that he said, like I can't even like the good thing I like about Black Panther is it takes itself a little bit more seriously than the rest of the MCU movies. So you're not bogged down with all the shitty jokes. But at the same time, it does have those MCU shitty jokes. It just doesn't have them every single, every single line that somebody's saying, right? So that's, I guess, an improvement. But the storyline, and also it has the villain. The villain is a genuinely well acted, if not well written villain. The acting in it is very good, but that's about where it ends for me. And I like what's his name, the other villain in it.
Nerdman, I appreciate you having me on, but I gotta head out. Something just came up. I wish I was here earlier. I apologize. I appreciate you having me on, though.
No worries. So,
You mean Andy Serkis?
Andy Serkis. Andy Serkis was really good in the movie. That's it.
I mean, he was at points, but then at other points, I thought not so much. I mean, to me, the cast itself it's an amazing stacked cast, but there were, because of the script and everything else, there were only like 3 or 2 standouts for me, mainly Michael B. Jordan and Lupita Nyong'o, if that's how you pronounce her name. But everyone else, I thought, because of the direction and script, I didn't like so much, including Chadwick. Again, I thought surprisingly generic.
Chadwick was surprisingly generic in this movie, and I didn't think he was particularly that interesting in the other movie as well.
I mean, I liked him in Civil War, but yeah, just.
The funny thing is, no, I didn't even like him in Civil War. That's what I'm saying. I didn't. He was just on a revenge mission. He didn't have any personality, any character, any. Like, what does he stand for, really?
Yeah,
like,
but I thought
even in this movie,
few
it's
moments
like,
though with his acting was better than in Black Panther.
Yeah, I mean, he's just a hero because the movie tells you he's the hero. That's it. That's what I find about Black Panther. I don't think that he stands ideologically against the villain enough, to go, okay, well, because I just get the villain's ideology. It's the same with the Infinity War. I get the villain's ideology, but I don't get the hero's ideology. I don't get what we're just told that they're heroes, but actually the villain's making a fairly good point, and they're not actually tackling the point he's making and saying, well, this is the reason why, even though you may have some truth to what you're saying, you've taken it too far, and this is the reason, and I think that's a big, when you have one of those villains that is like very, very, like they have some kind of point that they're trying to make, or something that they stand for, and they make that point strongly. You have to have a hero who at least symbolically stands up to that point. And they've done that, like with Superman 78. They did that with The Watchmen, for instance. They did that with a number of different other movies where, like, you get somebody who actually challenges what the villain is saying. Anyway, next, unless you've got anything to respond to that. Nope, good.
Spider-Man Homecoming, I find this to be one of the most rewatchable movies in the MCU. Of course, Spider-Man is just such a likable character, but in the case of this movie, they really leaned into the idea of him being a high school superhero.
Hey, Karen, what else can this suit do? What?
So he's immature. He has field trips, and it uses Tony Stark as a mentor to him. And so it just finds some way to take a character we've seen a lot and do something new with him. Take Spider-Man, who we've seen in many previous films, and put him in a different context. And all of this, as we started getting to the MCU's third phase and over 15 movies in, and they still had new things to do with the MCU, with these characters. I think there's a great villain. It's a different type of a villain threat. So very enjoyable.
You're that Spider guy on YouTube!
And I don't know about putting it this high up, but I, for the most part, kind of agree. Like, again, I don't think it's a great film. I think it's a solid film, and it's because of all that. Like, I do think, just even though I like the first Amazing Spider-Man and the Sam Raimi one's better, and I want more of that stuff in Spider-Man. It is like at least a different take on it with it being in the MCU, and I do like how it's like also, a school, like, coming of age type film as well in that aspect. I just, the issue with it for me was I just didn't, I think, capitalize off of enough of those aspects so that it was trying to do, and with the whole school coming of age aspect with him being younger and everything. I don't think it did enough of that. The thing that kept it from still being good is the villain.
I think the villain is very under. Is very overrated.
I mean the performance.
I think the villain is very
himself.
overrated. I think it's Michael Keaton basically.
Yeah,
being
that's what I mean. The
charismatic.
performance. The villain himself, was just like whatever, kind of.
He
in the
didn't do
background.
anything. He
It was just
shot
like in the
one guy.
background, whatever.
But to me, I think the whole beginning of this movie, where it's the high school stuff, is like really boring. To be honest, I don't find it that interesting. It's only until after that scene where he's in the car with Michael Keaton, and Michael Keaton does this speech or whatever, that's when the film kicks off. And I really like the third act, but I thought the first two acts were just normal run-of-the-mill MCU, not very good, like not as good as the Raimi, not as good as the first Amazing Spider-Man. So I don't know. It's fine where it is, to be honest. I'm not, I don't hate it where it is, but I don't particularly think this movie is that great either. I think it's overhyped for one scene, basically, that car scene.
Right? Call me Spider-Man! Okay, Spider-Man!
Next, Captain America, the Winter Soldier, another one of the more mature films.
Whoa. Whoa. What's happening here? This should be top 10, shouldn't it?
Yeah. Well, some of the films he put in the top 10 will piss you off. I'll just say that. Yeah.
This should be top 10 to me. I don't know, man. I think this is pretty fucking decent.
Yeah,
This
I
is
mean,
perhaps the
it
best
isn't like one of my
MCU
favorites.
movie. I think this is the best MCU movie that is actually that's popular. Like, I like a lot of MCU movies that aren't very popular for some reason, like, you know, the Doctor Strange 2, the Black Widow. But of all of the ones that are very popular, I think this is the best one. I think this is one of the ones that is justified to be in the top 10, if not top.
Yeah, I mean, I do have some issues
7.
with it, but it should be top 10 though. Like I don't think it's like, you know, the best, like as people say, or you know, like that up there, but it's definitely like top 10 though, in my opinion. At least for like for MCU films, it's at least like around top 6. If it's not like top 6, I don't know what you're like. It's at least
Yeah, I don't know what's coming above this. I'm curious, like why he has this so low.
In the MCU. In the case of this one, bringing in some political intrigue into the mix, where
political intrigue.
Captain America, by his nature, came from a simpler time where there was a lot more trust in institutions. He's a more pure and noble, black and white kind of morality to him. And so you take that character and drop him into this very complex gray world where governmental institutes aren't trustworthy. He doesn't know who to turn to in this scenario. And it's that combination of his simple morality in a complex world that just makes for the right tension. Add to that all of these great action sequences with practical effects, and you get one of the best MCU films. 11, Wonder Woman, a movie that I had no idea how they could bring to the big screen.
Good. Thank you, Cole. It's better. It should have been in the top 10, but it beat out Winter Soldier. Thank you.
Screen. They tried it in the past. Joss Whedon couldn't crack the code. They did a pilot episode of a TV show that utterly failed.
Okay, you know,
And
I
then
love how this guy
Patty
just loves
Jenkins
taking
and
shots
Zack
at
Snyder and the DC crew at that
even though
time.
he's made better films than Snyder and all of them. Fucking fanboy.
He's gonna put all Zack Snyder movies in the top 10. I'm
yeah,
gonna love it.
Somehow cracked the code in a window of time where Warner Brothers was screwing up all of the projects by micromanaging them. Somehow, Patty Jenkins snuck by and delivered a great Wonder Woman film that has thrilling action. It's in a unique context by putting it in World War I, a war that we don't go to as much in film. And it's a movie that has something to say about man's inhumanity to man. That's even part of our lead character's journeys, understanding all of that. And they make Wonder Woman strong, but she's still feminine. It's funny. It's romantic. Does get too talky in the finale and gets too CGI-y in the finale. Otherwise, amazing film. Bringing us into the top 10, Spider-Man No Way Home.
Cap. Pure cap.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
Pure cap.
like enjoyment wise, okay, but if we're talking like objectively, no.
Enjoyment wise, what was enjoyable about this movie apart from I don't know.
Okay,
It's
look,
a bad movie. It's
well,
a
look,
bad movie.
I am a ginormous, Spider-Man fanboy, and especially the Sam Raimi one. So this is like the one and only time where I was a a blind shill, and yeah, and loved the nostalgia bait. All right, it did affect me there. So yeah, it did work on me. Now it wasn't well done nostalgia, really, for being honest, at a lot of points, but
Look,
especially with them needing to literally reuse the scenes from Amazing Spider-Man 1 and Spider-Man 3 with Sandman and the lizard guy because it was COVID, so they couldn't get the actors on set. So that was laughable, but still, it worked for the most part for me because of
my
that.
problem with this movie was none of the emotional scenes where I was like, oh man, this is gonna break me apart because I remember the Sam Raimi films.
Yeah,
I
I love how you said you wanted to walk out because people cheered.
that was Shang-Chi, but
Oh.
but none of it like impacted me. Like the aunt died, and I was like, yeah, whatever. Mary Jane was saved by Andrew Garfield, and I was like, yeah, whatever. I really wanted to be emotional in those scenes, but somehow the way they constructed it, I couldn't get emotional about it. I guess the Mary Jane thing worked a little bit better. But like honestly, it's, I don't know. Like there's something, especially like going back to it. There's something just broken about the whole premise of the movie, where he's just like, "Oh, I'm gonna fuck up the whole universe because my friends didn't get into MIT, except they did get into MIT because I saved this woman." I think that comes later, to be fair to the film, but he saves the woman, the dean of MIT, on the bridge, and then they let him back in the school anyway, or they say that he can come to MIT and his friends can go to MIT, but then he's like, "Oh, I shouldn't be part of their lives anymore" by the end of it, and he makes everyone. It was all very convoluted and messy, like that whole part. I did like the villains for the most part, but I don't think they got a lot of interesting things to do. And certainly the three Spider-Men together did not work for me. They were not the Spider-Men from their franchises. They were not acting like that. They were acting like MCU Spider-Man.
Yeah,
They
again, I
weren't.
completely agree. Again, but because I'm such a Spider-Man fanboy, I still
Yeah.
enjoyed it. But I agree, it wasn't done too well outside of moments with like Willem Dafoe and like that action scene and everything. And of course, shit like the aunt dying, yeah, was just laughable. And with the line, but also I will say that another reason to know why I still at least enjoy the film and consider it solid is because like putting all that aside and with like that and the writing and everything, which obviously is bad, and because and also they didn't even write an ending for it when they were making it, and all the plot holes, just everything else. So I do think was actually an improvement and was well done, like the editing, production design, direction, cinematography. I do think it was actually a big
Was
step
done
up.
better.
Yes, from a
Interesting.
lot of
I'll
MCU films and the other
again.
Spider-Man MCU
I'll have
films.
to watch it again, but I watched it like 3 times. I fell asleep the first 2 times because I just
Okay.
and then I finally watched it all the way through, and I was just like, "This is yeah." I mean, it's okay. It's not a terrible movie, but it's really not like anything you'd expect to get out of like three Spider-Man coming together for the first time. Like when you look at Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, that's the kind of quality I was expecting, where it's like it's massive. This is let's make a
Yeah.
big deal out of this. That
Yeah,
these
I mean, yeah, in fairness, so you know, it was always going to be challenging and have like flaws with it though, because you know both the Sam, you know, it's not like the Sam Raimi and Amazing Spider-Man films, you know, are flawless. They have loads of flaws too, with like the third one and then also the second, and not going to even finish the trilogy. So because of that, and then bringing them in from like flawed franchises too, and with the MCU one also being flawed, and you know, just kind of putting Tom Holland's story on hold just to do it, like it was bound to have these issues and like have these tone
The
issues
marketing
and
was
character
genius,
issues.
though. The marketing
Yeah,
was the
it
best
was.
thing about that film,
You know,
because
I
even I
just
was
wish
caught
they
up in the
didn't.
hype train by the end.
Yeah, I just wish they didn't, you know, spoil all the villains in it. I wish they only I wish they acted like only one of them was going to be in it, one returning one, but whatever.
Yeah, true.
And on a simple script and story level, I think this movie has some issues and could use some work.
Brilliant but lazy.
But as a gift to Spider-Man fans, this film was a special moment and event where they found a way to do this multiverse story and bring all these Spider-Men that mean so much to us and their villains all together. And it felt right. It was satisfying. This to me is an example of how you can have a movie that has some elements that like that really doesn't work. That's not very well thought through. Like what's even going on with the spell at the end of the movie? But none of it matters because it delivered what I bought a ticket to get. Spider-Man magic. Spider-Man multiverse. You got that right. And so I was happy. And so were a whole lot of other people opening night.
It was so crazy in there. Like literally, like everyone was standing up and screaming.
I know, my voice is gone. I was clapping, screaming.
There's a bunch of parts where people are like, whoa!
Number 9, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, an MCU Phase 5 film that feels an awful like an MCU Phase 3 film, probably because James Gunn wrote it 5 years before the movie actually came out, and he said he changed very little about the film from when he first wrote it to when it finally came out in theaters. And it was just so pleasing that he got it right, that it was heartfelt, it was tragic, it was funny, and it felt like a proper send-off for my favorite.
Okay, this is the first film I feel like he's ranked actually correctly. This is by far the best Guardians film to me. I don't even think Guardians 1
I
compares
like both
to
the
it.
first and the third, but yeah, I know I love both of them. The second obviously has issues, but again, I wasn't here when he brought up the second, but again, I still think that film's solid too. Like despite all the issues, obviously, and humor, and them not covering a lot of things with the characters they should have, and wasted potential. I just thought it was a well-made film, and because I like 1 and 3, I still enjoyed it. So,
So he says, 1610 Man says, technically Sandman and Lizard never died. Exactly. Public never knew Norman Osborn was the Green Goblin, but MCU must never let continuity and human cognitive thought happen. That guy, his voice is gone, and his nut sacks also. True, absolutely. The moment James Gunn peaked in his career, I feel like this is his finest movie, and it's mainly because of the rocket stuff. I actually think watching it again, the Guardian stuff wasn't that compelling, but the Rocket stuff, because Rocket has always been the best character in this whole franchise, apart from the
also,
tree.
sorry, nerd man, but I have to go now, sadly.
That's cool.
But
I can finish it up
but
myself.
I'm gonna rewatch this stream though afterwards. The rest you do, because I'm gonna see like what the fuck he put in like the top 8 or so, and Jesus.
Yeah.
God, if he put Zack Snyder's Justice League like number 1, I'm gonna fucking scream. And I know he probably did, but anyway, see you.
I hope it is. I hope it is, because that would be correct. All right. Anyway, peace out. So let's just watch the rest of them. Rocket smashed the pocket with the sea lion in this movie. Yeah.
Ragtag group in the MCU.
Analogy.
Is it?
Metaphor.
8, The Avengers. 10 plus years removed, it's easy to forget how big of a deal it was when this movie came out. Comic book team-up movies weren't really a thing prior to the Avengers. They've become common now, but it wasn't exactly clear how you take very earthbound characters like Tony Stark and put them in a franchise with a god from space. And Joss Whedon and Kevin Feige cracked the code. The story's very straightforward, and that allows for plenty of room for action set pieces and quips and banter.
I've care how you speak, and he's my brother.
He killed 80 people in 2 days.
He's adopted.
And because it was the first time we'd ever done it, it was okay that it wasn't the most complex narratively speaking, because it was special that they just did it. And there's just something so straightforward about all of it that you can only really do one time and have it work this good. And it did work really, really good. Number 7, Man.
So I'm gonna say this. Avengers is in my top, would be in my top 15. I don't mind it being so high up, and I think, you know, anywhere from 15 to even 3 is fine for Avengers. But it is really a generic movie. Like when you look at the story of it, it's so simple and basic, and it's just like, let's get our toys to fight together. And I guess that's the first time we've done it, so that was exciting to see Hulk fighting with Thor and Thor fighting with Iron Man and all of this, but none of it really made sense. How is Thor and Iron Man even fighting? You know, like it was just the logic of, oh, we've always smashed our Iron Man and Thor toys together, so let's just get them to fight. You know, and it doesn't matter how we kind of achieve that. And then Thor like goes full force smashing, you know, Iron Man's shield and like flies back somehow, which made no sense. You know, none of it was, none of that stuff really held together, and the story was just very simple because really we just wanted to see our toys smashed together for the first time, and on that level, it absolutely worked. But you know, as a film itself, it's kind of interesting to me that it works so well, being that it's just creatively not that interesting a movie. But you know, that's not always necessary. Sometimes you just want a big dumb action movie, and that's what that was, a really big dumb action movie. And Man of Steel has no business being above it, quite frankly. I don't know why Man of Steel is this high.
Man of Steel, the film that kicked off the DCEU, but it wasn't really intended to kick off a universe. It's an idea that came about during the development of The Dark Knight Rises while Nolan and Goyer were writing the script. They had some writer's block.
The legend is that Man of Steel came out of writer's block on Dark Knight Rises.
That's true.
And in that writer's block, the idea for Man of Steel came to them. Nolan didn't want to direct it, so they gave it to Zack Snyder to run with it.
My friend Christopher Nolan called me.
It came to them, did it? It didn't. A book called Superman Earth One, maybe that came to you as well. David Goyer, you are a piece of shit. You even wrote in the fucking comic that you based your fucking film off the comic. The whole speech that General Zod gives in that movie when he first arrived on Earth is directly from that fucking comic book. They stole all the ideas from that comic book and they try and run with it as if it was their idea. No, what they did is they took a really good comic book and ruined it in film. That's what happened, just to make clear.
And said, would you have any interest in making a Superman movie? David Goyer and I wrote a Superman script, and I don't think I want to do it.
And for me, this is a film that I respect it, enjoy it more every single time I watch it. When I first watched it, it was a little bit tough for me to process because I grew up on the Christopher Reeve Superman films, and that's such a distinct interpretation, vibe, aesthetic. And Snyder has his own strong voice and flavor that he brings to things. Likewise, it's a story that Nolan worked on, so it has his non-linear elements to it. So it's so different. But the more I've watched, the more I've taken it on its own terms. I just enjoyed what Zack Snyder brought to it, the way that it celebrates the character, but in a very different way from normal, the action, and the fantastic score. Love it. Next up, Captain America Civil War. And what I love about this film is that they were able to build off of all of these different franchises, all of these different events that happened in the MCU to create a scenario where you can believe that Tony and Steve would be very much at odds over what was about to take place. So much so that audiences still are debating who was right and side with different people in everything that takes place in the movie. And that's because it felt earned. They built off what came before. We'd spent a lot of time with these characters understanding who they are and what makes them tick. So when they come to head over their values and their experiences that have led them to this moment, you believe it. Add to that, you get the airport fight sequence, but then you also get a very personal fight at the end of the film. And I think this is one of the movies that just shows what the first three phases of the MCU did so well, where we spent a lot of time with our lead characters, and you could do things like this film, and it would work, and it would feel earned. Real quick, before I give you my...
Again, I think this movie has some major problems, but it's enjoyable. The main problem being I don't really understand why the Avengers are being targeted by this general, as, you know, all they did was save lives. Obviously, in the process of saving lives, there's going to be some collateral damage or whatever. The only criminal amongst them, amongst the Avengers, was Tony Stark. That was the criminal. I feel like this movie should have started off from that criminal act that Tony Stark did with building Ultron, and then moved from that and him dealing with the consequences of that. The film also felt like they were just like play fighting with each other as opposed to actually trying to really stop each other in some kind of meaningful way. But outside of that, I do think it's an entertaining movie if you kind of switch your brain off and don't really think about it. But yeah, a little bit overhyped. I think Winter Soldier's way better, to be honest.
My top 5. Be sure to join me down below in the
Wait,
comment
let's see
section.
what some of you are saying about this. What are you saying about this? Captain America 2 and 3 equals breaking MCU continuity and logic, starting with the Hydra retcon. Yeah, problem with Captain America 3 plots. Avengers 2.5, Zemo's Savanian Revenge, and Captain America 3, Bucky's Manhunt. DC went to screw over created JMS, the Superman Earth 1 graphic novel. Absolutely. Man of Steel equals mid as fuck origin story, aka Nolan's Superman Begins. Yeah, completely agree. All right, so we're in the top. Guardians of the
Guardians
Galaxy.
of the Galaxy. I remember when they announced that they were doing this movie, and the director of Super, who previously wrote the Scooby-Doo movies, was going to be writing and directing it. I thought Kevin Feige had lost his mind.
What a bunch of a-holes.
It was their biggest gamble, and it seemed like a crazy gamble. Like, wait, you're putting the fifth build character on a sitcom in the lead of your movie? What are you doing? Then they put out the first trailer, and I went, that actually looks really good. and I went to see the movie, and the movie was even better than I thought the trailers were. It's so heartfelt, it's so clever, and James Gunn put together this set of characters that you absolutely adore. And so whatever happens to them, you feel it. Adding to that, you have a fantastic soundtrack, and you just get one of the most heartfelt and personal films in the entire MCU.
Said it yourself, bitch. We're the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Number 4, Iron.
It's all right. I mean, it's all right. It shouldn't be this high, I don't think, but a lot of people disagree with me, and I can kind of understand with that specific movie. Iron Man is way too high again. Way too high. The movie is a little bit overrated now. It was good, but it wasn't like something completely special at all. It was a generic origin movie with some very good jokes, most of which were spoilt in the trailer, unfortunately. And the third act is garbage, but there are some really good elements to Iron Man 1 as well. Not as good as a lot of, anyway.
Man, the first MCU film is still one of the best. And I think one of the simple reasons for that is that it didn't have the weight of the rest of the MCU on its shoulders. It didn't need to set up the next film. It didn't need to follow up 7 films. It just got to be a story about Tony Stark. And it's a classic hero's journey, but it's also filled with like all these personal moments. It sets up this incredible character arc that would play out over the next 10 years.
I shouldn't be alive unless it was for a reason. You're not the guy to make the sacrifice play.
It just, you could feel the cast, the writers, the director, everyone was so passionate about the film and heading in the same direction. They knew what they were working towards, and they made something special that changed the comic book movie genre forever.
Oh, and that tone that you and Robert discovered on that movie, I would say became the template in a way.
But that tone of a little bit of a fun, a little bit of a subversiveness, but then also a heart and an earnestness too.
In third place, Avengers Endgame. If ever there was a movie that deserved to be called epic, it's Avengers Endgame.
Am I high or something? Did he just have Ted 2 as the poster of Avengers Endgame? Am I high? Did that just happen? I don't know. Maybe I'm tripping or something. Maybe I'm on acid. I thought I saw Ted 2 there. Endgame is way too high. It should be in the bottom. It should be somewhere like the top of the bottom. Terrible movie. Terrible. Absolutely awful. And people capped for this movie, I guess, because it was the last in the series, or should have been the last in the series, but it is terrible.
Endgame. They found a way to have a satisfying conclusion to the Infinity Saga that celebrates our original Avengers. It shows how each of them would respond to loss. It has some great jokes in it. It pays tribute and reminds us of the journey that we've been on, and it all culminates in one of the most satisfying third act battles I have ever seen. It's filled with fan service that feels earned. Like we built up to these little moments. And if that had been the end of the MCU, we all would have gone, you ended on a high note. You did it. Well done. And then they decided to keep going. Our runner-up, Zack Snyder's Justice League, a version of the film that is better on every...
What is going on with this Ted 2 stuff? Why is he putting Ted 2? he did it again. He did Ted 2 again. I don't know. Is it like some kind of joke? It's an in-joke or something like that? I agree with his placement of Zack Snyder's Justice League. Fantastic movie. Really, like, underrated, and just, it's a fucking fantastic movie. Infinity War being better, I'll accept it. Like, it isn't, but, like, I'll accept it because it was the culmination of a very long story. But yeah, this is the Ted 2 thing is throwing me off. I don't even know, unless he's trolling the whole Ted thing. I don't know. I don't get it. If someone can explain that to me, it would be great. Avengers 4, bad as fuck. Trilogy, Creeper extra. I have some problems with Infinity War that I'll get to, but of why I disqualify it as the best comic book movie. But we'll see.
Every single level than Justice League. Every change that they made for Justice League made it worse. Here, you get this highly detailed superhero, once again, epic, that sets up all of these little character arcs, all of these little plot points, where everything is developed and elaborated on. So when you get to the payoff, when you get to the finale, when you get to the culmination of a subplot, all of it is so satisfying and it feels earned. As you're watching sequences, you start piecing together how the elements all converge into this moment, into this line of dialogue, into this payoff. And it's so satisfying and so confusing as to why Warner Brothers would butcher this into Justice League.
I don't care how many demons he's fought and how many hells. He's never fought us. Not us united.
But coming in at number 1, Avengers Infinity War. For me, this is the comic book movie magnum opus, where they took all of my toys and they put them in one movie and they made it actually so enjoyable and satisfying. Whether you're talking about all of these characters finally meeting for the first time and having all the fun banter between them.
I'm Peter, by the way.
Doctor Strange.
Oh, you're using your made-up names. I'm Spider-Man then.
Whether you're talking about a movie that had some bite to it and allowed the villain to win, or of course the simple fact that the movie kind of treats the villain as the lead character. He's the person that kind of is on the journey and we learn about him and he's given this arc. So you understand where he's coming from. You understand the toll that all of this takes on him. And so it just has everything that I want from a comic book movie. It was such a potent experience to watch it. And so it comes in at number 1. Remember, if you want that delicious cereal that's high in protein and without the...
Okay, so in the end of the day, his list, while like capping for the MCU hardcore. In the end, like the last 10 movies or something like that, or last 20 movies, I was just like, it's more the back end of where he was putting DCU movies that I really had some issues with. And yeah, I don't know. It's like it's interesting after all of this, but as I said, I enjoy this guy's content. But it was like the typical. I had to, as soon as I saw where he placed one particular movie, I had to just come on and live and just react to it with you and just watch it with you and have fun with you guys. To show the typical kind of MCU excuses for why their movies are elevated, even though a lot of these movies are fucking generic, soulless, unartistic movies, and then they're just elevated higher. Now, with Infinity War, I understand the emotions that people have with that movie. I really do. But the problems that movie has is the gaping plot holes and gaping leaps in logic that you need to go through to make sense of that movie. And everyone ignores them because it's like that it's been building up to this, right? So let's just ignore that. And I think that people didn't criticize that movie is the reason why the MCU is in the state it is and feels like it can get away with the shit that it does. And it's only now catching up to them where they're like, holy shit, no, people are noticing this, because a lot of the people of this gen, who are watching the MCU movies now, didn't grow up with those movies. They didn't watch them for the first time when they were like 5 years old or something. They all said 7 years old or 8 years old or whatever. So, you know, they don't have that kind of investment that people who were watching Infinity War have. And they're calling out the bullshit that should have been called out from Endgame, Infinity War, from Avengers 2, from all of those movies where like critics were just giving them high scores, 80, 80, 80 every time for an MCU movie, when a lot of them were just mediocre. You know, a lot of them didn't even cross the barrier of being as good as Batman v Superman. You know, in terms of like, oh, actually, this movie has something to say. It has a directorial point of view. It has some, you know, great visuals, actually interesting, sophisticated action that differentiates itself from every other type of action. So yeah, that's my kind of opinion here. But at the end of the day, when it came to his last 15 or something, I wasn't like mad at it. But I think a lot of the DCU movies should have been in those around those 20s to 10s, 20s to 10s in terms of you know, in comparison with the MCU movies like Shang-Chi and stuff like that. Let's, before I go, I'm gonna see what everyone has said, and then I'm gonna call it a day. I still like MCU Thanos more than comics Thanos, who was a simp for a skeleton lady. Yeah, I agree with that. Sean Chandler's movie pitches equals idiotic fan service BS to cater to his audience. Yeah. Avengers 4, the Endgame, has worse plot holes than Avengers 3. Yes, that's true. Avengers 4, yeah. That is absolutely true. Comic book Thanos equals emo pimp for goth girls. Yeah. Deadpool stole comic book Thanos' girl. He's weak. And I wonder how the world would be if DCU and MCU were structured exactly the same at the same time, completing with each other, competing with each other. LOL. By the 2020s, everybody would have been tired of cape shit. It's true. I'm glad that the DC didn't have like 50 movies, to be honest. Like the DCU, I'm glad that they had a smaller amount of movies, and I enjoyed most of them, like 80% of them. Even some of the ones that aren't, you know, like even Birds of Prey, I got something out of it. But the issue was that their order was batshit crazy. They should have stuck to getting the main characters out, i.e., Green Lantern, Martian Manhunter, even fuck it, throw in Cyborg if you want to, but I don't think Cyborg should be part of that. Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. You know, if they had stuck to that and then given us a Justice League movie, I think they would have been in better stead than giving us all this Birds of Prey, and even Shazam could have been in continuity, but all of those movies seem to me like they should have been like almost like the Elseworlds or something like that, or just let they could have done a thing where they just let directors just come in and make their own movie about like certain superheroes, and then done Justice League or adapted graphic novels, you know, like that kind of stuff. I think would have been better for the DC movies to differentiate themselves from the MCU, because what it seems to me is that DC made better films, but they made a terrible universe. They made a really weak universe, and they got punished for it much more than the actual individual films deserved, because the individual films were like actually pretty fucking good for the most part. They're better than the Sony movies. They're better than the X-Men movies, the X-Men Fox movies. They're better than most Marvel movies. outside of like the main MCU continuity. The only things they're not better than is like some of the better Marvel movies like the Spider-Man trilogy, Raimi trilogy, or you know yeah, like or some a couple of the X-Men movies were really good. But for the most part, they're like some of the best comic book movies ever. So anyway, that's me. That's my reaction to this um, best MCU and DCU movies list. Hope you enjoyed, and thanks for everyone in the comments who stuck around. 1610 man, Sam Collins, everyone who stuck around and added their comments and everything. Really appreciated, and hope you enjoy your weekend. I'm out. Peace.